Chapter 2802. Although 2 of the 7 origins of the Divine Realm's territories had been destroyed, the defensive arrays of the Divine Realm's territories could still be destroyed. Right now, cooperating with Yishan to fight to the death was definitely the best choice. However, Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao might not be able to explain the situation clearly. Hearing Knight Soro's doubts, Zhong Lingxiao replied, "As long as we arrive safely, I will definitely have a way to do it. You guys go." However, although the elites of the Divine Realm have been wiped out, it's not absolutely safe outside. You guys have to be careful. As Knight Soro replied, the 1,000 demon bees attack had already arrived. He no longer had the energy to deal with Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao. He immediately wielded the Samsara halberd and started fighting. Almost all the high gods and divine lords present had been wiped out, and the Divine King had fallen as well. In the void, the power of merit continuously surged into Knight Soro's body. His power of merit increased once again, and it was about to rise from a middle-level divine lord to a high-level divine lord. This speed of improvement was unprecedented in the Divine Realm. Forbidden Spear. The power of merit increased rapidly, and Knight Soro's Forbidden Spear was accompanied by a large amount of power of merit. Boom! The first to arrive was the 1,000 demon bee. Its tyrannical attack was immediately blocked by Knight Soro. It could be seen that the 1,000 demon bee's strength wasn't very strong. Its strength should be due to some special methods. However, due to the 1,000 demon wasp monarch's frenzy, it managed to save the injured god kings. Knight Soro simply didn't have the time to deal with them. After blocking the 1,000 demon bee's attack, Knight Soro realized that the other divine king, including the Een demon queen, were all attacking him. Facing the attacks of almost 10 divine kings, no matter how strong Knight Soro was, it was impossible for him to take them head-on with the strength of a divine lord. He immediately used an escape technique in the array. Furthermore, after Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao left the Heaven and Earth Energy Gathering Array, the array that was already activated was completely activated. The real show is about to begin. After activating the Heaven and Earth Energy Gathering Array, Knight Soro carried the Samsara halberd on his back and held the Tianyun bow in his hand. He continuously shot the arrow of merit at a few divine kings. At this moment, the Tianyun bow had just absorbed the blood-colored origin and was completely activated. Yishan's attack was already strong, and his power of virtue was even stronger than before. The 11 arrows of the Divine King's Divine Lord level Divine Lord's level Divine Lord's Divine Lord. Although the Een Demon King and the others were a little wary of the arrow of virtue, they still relied on their strength to catch it. However, the 2 lower Divine Kings present were not so lucky. They were shot by the arrow of virtue and were directly annihilated in the void. His Divine Lord's Divine Lord absorbed origin Divine's Divine Origin. Divine's SSSS. The other portion was converted into power of virtue and replenished Knight Soro's body. This made the divine essence energy and power of virtue within Knight Soro's body not suffer any depletion at all. Under these circumstances, Knight Soro once again condensed the virtuous arrow and shot out the virtuous 5 elements arrow at the 1,000 demon queen bee, who was not that powerful, like the divine king. The power of a sovereign artifact is indeed extraordinary. Seeing the 5-element arrow shoot towards the 1,000 demon queen bee, the Een demon king revealed a joyful expression. He was extremely satisfied with the might of the Tianyun bow. However, at this moment, he was still holding back. He did not immediately rush forward to fight Knight Soro. Of course, this was to prevent Knight Soro from targeting him. The leaders of the other territories also maintained a low profile. In their opinion, now was not the time to go all out. Otherwise, no matter how strong Knight Soro was, he wouldn't have been able to resist the encirclement of the Divine King. In the battle, the 1,000 demon queen bee realized that the Divine King of the other territories did not go all out when facing the 5-element arrow. It looked like they were toying with the virtuous arrow shot by Knight Soro. They were simply adding insult to injury and using Knight Soro to get rid of the 1,000 demon queen bee. At this moment, the other 2 divine king in the 1,000 demon queen bee's camp had both died. As long as the 1,000-demon queen bee was killed, another territory would be instantly destroyed, and the benefits they could divide would be even greater. You guys are simply despicable and shameless. The 1,000-demon queen bee was instantly enraged. She wanted to resist, but there was nothing she could do. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had shot out the virtuous arrow, used the virtuous dragon lock formation to bind her within. The 1,000-demon queen bee, who was slightly distracted, suddenly realized that it was too late for her to break free. Stop, let go of this king. This king will help you deal with them. The 1,000-demon queen bee felt that she could no longer dodge the 5-element arrow shot by the sovereign artifact. She immediately gritted her teeth and sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Their race was extremely vengeful. Now, their hatred for the other 4 territories had even surpassed that of Night Sorrow, who had killed the 1,000-demon queen bee. She did not want to die. She wanted to live and take revenge. You will help me deal with them? How can I trust you? After the 5-element arrow shot into the virtuous dragon lock formation, Night Sorrow stopped the attack temporarily to give the 1,000-demon queen bee a chance to speak. I, the 1,000-demon queen bee, swear that I will follow you forever and be your servant. Otherwise, I will be killed by the lightning. Is this enough? The 1,000-demon queen bee's tone was filled with intense hatred. Yes. Cooperate with me and attack that divine king. Night Sorrow did not care about whether the 1,000-demon queen bee was sincere or not. He casually responded and pointed to one of the divine kings in the heavenly diabolism territory. At this moment, under the powerful protection of the demon queen, there were still 3 uninjured divine kings in the heavenly diabolism territory. Night Sorrow wanted to use the 1,000-demon queen bee to quickly kill one of them. Otherwise, the strength of the heavenly diabolism territory would obviously surpass all the territories present. It was very likely that they had the ability to command the heroes. This was something he did not want to see. Currently, Night Sorrow felt that even if he had to risk his life, he had to take away a few divine king-level characters. Therefore, he could not let the heavenly diabolism territory be the only one. Okay. I will cooperate with you to kill him. After the 1,000-demon queen bee sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, she immediately shot 72 tail needles at one of the divine king under the demon queen bee. Every single one of these 72 tail arrays was extremely poisonous. When they shot towards the demon queen, they had already dyed the wind green. 1,000-demon queen bee, you actually dare to attack the people of my heavenly diabolism territory. Do you really think that my heavenly diabolism territory is easy to bully? Seeing the 1,000-demon queen bee attack his subordinates, the number 1 expert of the heavenly diabolism territory, the demon, immediately roared. What are you roaring for? Don't think that I can't see through the thoughts of the 4 territories. You want to silently get rid of this king? Then this king will show you what's good for you. The 1,000-demon bee king, who had just escaped from Yishang's clutches, roared and transmitted a message to Yishang. Use the same attack that you just used. The evil monarch won't be able to withstand it. Okay. Chapter 2803. Devil King, Evil King, hurry and save me. Evil King could still hold on against the 1,000-demon bee's 72 poisonous stingers. But at the same time, it was impossible for her to block Night Sorrow's arrow of virtue. She immediately called for help. You don't have to tell me that. The Devil King coldly replied and then intercepted the arrow of virtue that Yishan had shot out. On the other side, Evil King cooperated with Evil King to block the 1,000-demon bee's 72 stingers. As for the divine king of the other 3 territories, they were happy to watch the show and stopped attacking Night Sorrow. At this point, they were still confident that they could snatch Tianyun Bao from Night Sorrow's hands. Therefore, they were not in a hurry. Not good. It seems that it will be very difficult to kill even the weakest one. Devil King and Evil King reacted very quickly. 1,000-demon bee, who originally wanted to quickly kill Evil King, immediately realized that things were difficult. Because of the addition of the 2 of them, the situation immediately reversed. Although Night Sorrow's arrow of virtue was a 5-element arrow, it was still neutralized by Devil King. He had a very strange divine artifact in his hand, the Divine Void Cloud. This Divine Void Cloud was a half-step sovereign artifact, but its power was very special. It directly absorbed Night Sorrow's 5-element arrow of virtue. When it was spat out, although the power of virtue was still there, it had lost its attacking power and floated back into Night Sorrow's body. Good move. As expected of the strongest of the few territories. Ever since he controlled Tianyun Bao, this was the first time Night Sorrow's 5-element arrow had been neutralized so easily. While he was astonished, he had to admit that Devil King was very strong. I'll give you a chance to live. Hand over the sovereign artifact and swear allegiance to this king. Looking at Night Sorrow, Devil King's aura was very terrifying. When she quietly floated in the air, she looked like a floating ghost. When she spoke, she did not open her mouth. Her voice seemed to come from the abyss of hell. Hee. Wanting me to submit to you is no different from a fantasy. Even if I die in battle, I, Night Sorrow, will fight you to the death. It's not that easy to get a sovereign artifact. Today's Night Sorrow was already prepared to die. After replying to the Demon King fearlessly, he used the Tianyun Bao to shoot out another 5-element arrow. While shooting the 5-element arrow, Night Sorrow held the Tianyun Bao in his hand and used it as a close-range divine weapon to attack the Evil King and Evil King who were suppressing the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee. The 1,000 Demon Bee King's strength was not strong to begin with, and all of his subordinates had been killed by Night Sorrow's explosion. At this moment, he was being suppressed very miserably and was about to be killed. Night Sorrow was looking forward to this unexpected ally of his. At the very least, he felt that he should trade him for the Divine King. This way, he could disrupt the balance. When he faked his death, the remaining 4 territories would have a more intense battle. Night Sorrow waved the Tianyun Bao and joined the battle, just in time to help the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee King block the fatal attack of the Evil King. Using the Tianyun Bao as a close-range weapon, the effect was surprisingly good. It directly broke the trident that the Evil King brandished. This king's divine weapon. When the trident was sent flying by Night Sorrow, the Evil King immediately roared. On the other hand, the Evil King's expression did not change as he launched a sneak attack on Night Sorrow. He silently turned into an evil spirit and suddenly pounced on Night Sorrow, wanting to grab his divine soul. Facing the Evil King's attack, Night Sorrow directly used the power of virtue to attack, burning him and forcing him to retreat. At this moment, the Demon Queen used the Divine Void Cloud to dissolve the 5-element arrow and rushed over to help. It was a 3 versus 2 situation once again. After observing the situation, the Demon Queen coldly said, "People from the other territories, are you prepared to watch the show and wait for both sides to be injured before taking action to snatch the sovereign divine weapon?" The Demon Queen was clearly a shrewd person. After dealing with the sudden situation, she immediately questioned the Divine King of the other territories. Hee. What is the Demon Queen talking about? Everyone agreed to kill the ants first before discussing how to split the sovereign divine weapon. How can you go back on your words? After all, the Demon Queen was the strongest person present. After she spoke, the leader of the Soul Slaughter territory, Hun Yi, immediately spoke. At the same time, he said to his subordinate, the Divine King, Hun San, "Let's do it." Yes. Lord Soul King. After receiving Hun Yi's order, Hun Sen immediately replied. He once again held the divine weapon in his hand and joined the battle. We, the Myriad Miasma territory, are not people who like to take advantage of others. The leader of the Myriad Miasma territory, the Divine King of Myriad Fury, also spoke and asked his subordinate, Wan Shang, to help. Seeing that the Divine King of the other 2 territories had all rejoined the battle, Poison Phoenix of the Poison Heart territory also brought the uninjured Divine King, Du Han, to join in as well. They completely surrounded Night Sorrow and the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee. As for the other territories, some of the injured Divine King retreated from the battle and began to think of ways to heal their injuries. It was impossible to say which of the territories Divine King still had the ability to fight, because no one had the time to check. What should we do? Surrounded by so many people, the two of us can't even kill one of them. Being surrounded by so many Divine King, the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's face instantly revealed a look of despair. At this time, Night Sorrow said with certainty, "Normally, we will definitely die. There is no doubt about it. But I feel that before we die, we can exchange one or two of them." Oh. In this situation, we still have the chance to exchange one or two of them. Are you prepared to self-destruct the sovereign artifact? The 1,000 Demon Queen Bee heard Night Sorrow's words and immediately asked doubtfully. "I want to self-destruct, but I don't have the ability. The sovereign artifact in my hand has not recognized me as its master." Night Sorrow explained and continued, "Compared to me, you are completely capable of killing one or two of them. This king does not have that ability." Hearing Night Sorrow's voice transmission, the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee immediately sighed. "You are really stupid. Think about it, isn't your death certain? Under such circumstances, what's the use of keeping the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's origin? Why aren't you summoning it to fight?" Night Sorrow immediately reminded the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, who had not thought of its advantage at all. "Yes. If this king dies in battle, the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's origin will definitely be divided among the other territories. Since that's the case, why not merge it into your body and fight to your heart's content?" Night Sorrow's words made the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, who was originally in complete despair, suddenly have a thought. Thinking of this, it immediately summoned the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's origin. Under the unfavorable situation of many Divine King attacking together, it completely merged with the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's origin. As the king of the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee territory, after merging with the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's origin, its combat strength immediately increased by several times. Not good. 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, prepare to go all out. The two of you must protect yourselves. Chapter 2804. The experienced and knowledgeable Demon King knew that with the strength of the 1,000 Demon Bee's body, it wasn't suitable for him to fuse with all of the 1,000 Bee's origin. His body wouldn't be able to withstand it at all. In the battle, the 1,000 Demon Bee had chosen to completely fuse with the 1,000 Bee's origin. He was definitely prepared to die. "All of you. Get ready, I'll drag a few of you along with me." After completely fusing with the 1,000 Bee's origin, the 1,000 Demon Bee had completely fused with the will of the 1,000 Bee's origin. In his human form, there were already traces of cracks on the surface of his skin, and powerful energy kept seeping out. Seeing the state of the 1,000 Demon Bee, the 4 Divine Kings of the 4 territories all hesitated. No one wanted to be the first to do so. What? Didn't you all attack this king directly because of the Demon King's order? Why aren't you continuing now? The completely crazy 1,000 Demon Bee scanned the crowd and said coldly, "Next, this king is preparing to kill the Demon King of the Heavenly Diabolism territory. This king will fight to the death with whoever stops him first. Who are you trying to scare? Everyone, don't be afraid of him. This king is already summoning the Heavenly Diabolism's origin. We aren't afraid of him at all." The Demon King, who didn't want to lose her subordinates, directly summoned 3 demons to attack the 1,000 Demon Bee after the 1,000 Demon Bee's threat. He wanted to use the summoned demon to replace the 1,000 Demonic Bee King. This was a good plan. You want to use the demons to replace this king? You must be dreaming. The 1,000 Demon Bee wasn't very strong among the Divine Kings, but after fusing with the 1,000 Bee's origin, the strength he could unleash when going all out was probably even more terrifying than the Demon King. At the same time that the Demon King released the 3 God King level demons, the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee crazily shot out 30-tail arrows at the 3 demons. The 30-tail arrows were overflowing with energy and directly nailed the 3 demons to death. This powerful aura immediately intimidated the many Divine Kings present. "Evil King the next one to be nailed to death is you." After nailing the 3 demons to death, the Thousand Demon Queen Bee once again locked its gaze on the divine king of the Demon Queen. Bastard! Are you targeting this king? Being targeted again, the evil king of the heavenly evil territory was completely enraged. He ignited the heavenly evil bloodline in his body. Although the leader and strongest person in the heavenly evil territory was the Demon King. But the evil King had the noblest bloodline in the heavenly evil territory. After burning the blood in her body, the evil King's strength immediately increased. Yes, I have my eyes on you. So what? The Thousand Demon Bee King, who had fused with the origin, knew that it would not live for long. Without hesitation, it immediately shot out 72 stingers at the evil King. This time, the number of stingers was exactly the same as last time, but the difference in power was like heaven and earth. Although the evil King had ignited her bloodline, she still revealed a look of fear when facing this attack. She could clearly feel that she wouldn't be able to receive it. Thus, he turned to look at the Demon King. Don't worry, this king will save you. At this moment, the Demon King moved in front of the evil King and summoned the void divine cloud to receive the 72 stingers of the Thousand Demon Bee King. If you receive those stingers, then you won't have the ability to break my 5-element arrow, right? At this moment, the temporarily silent Night Sorrow seized the opportunity and immediately condensed the power of virtue, using the Tianyun Bao to shoot out the 5-element arrow. Currently, it was also the evil King. Why are they all targeting this king? Facing the 5-element arrow of virtue shot out by Night Sorrow, the evil King couldn't help but roar and began to dodge. Although she had ignited her bloodline power, she was still helpless against the arrow of virtue shot out by the ruler artifact. At this moment, the evil King who wanted to help the evil King felt that it was a bit troublesome, but she still summoned 5 evil spirits to block the 5-element arrow. These 5 evil spirits were pierced through by the 5-element arrow, but they also successfully reduced the speed and power of the arrow of virtue. Facing such 5-element arrow, the evil King no longer dodged, but chose to directly receive it. Boom! Although the evil King was sent flying, she didn't suffer any real injuries. After successfully receiving the 5-element arrow, the evil King sneered, "The attack of the ruler artifact is only a so-so. The origin of the Thousand Demon Bee is only a so-so." The Demon King who used the void divine cloud to block the 72 stingers of the Thousand Demon Bee King said in a cold voice. Then she said, "Everyone, as you can see, the 2 of them are just jumping clowns, there is no threat at all. Everyone, attack them together and kill them directly. After that, we can distribute the ownership of the ruler artifact." It's a bit too early for you to say this now. Hearing the Demon King's words, Night Sorrow's face clearly showed an unconvinced expression. He felt that no matter what, he had to change 1 or 2 of the divine kings in the enemy camp today. Too early? It's not early. Now that all of you have used your most powerful techniques, you still can't do anything to us. The only thing waiting for you is to be torn apart. The Demon King coldly threatened and roared, "Kill them! Kill!" The Thousand Demon Bee King felt a little depressed that he didn't kill the evil King with 1 attack. He roared and prepared to continue the battle. At this moment, Night Sorrow stretched out his arm and stopped him. He said, "It's obviously impossible to use our lives to exchange for 1 or 2 divine kings in such a battle. Next, use the Tianyun Bao and attack the heavenly evil king. I don't believe that you can't kill the heavenly evil king with the ruler artifact." "What, you are going to lend me the ruler artifact?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Thousand Demon Bee King's face was full of disbelief. Night Sorrow said, "We are going to die, why would we care about the ruler artifact? What I care about is how to kill 2 or more divine kings. This way, when we die, we won't feel that we have suffered a loss. That makes sense. We have to exchange at least 2 divine kings' lives. Give me the ruler artifact." Night Sorrow was determined to die, and so was the Thousand Demon Bee King. He roared heroically and took the Tianyun Bao from Night Sorrow's hand. He took out more than 10 stingers and looked at the heavenly evil king, This king doesn't believe that I can't kill you after fusing with the origin energy and using the ruler artifact. At this moment, the 1000-demon bee king's face was full of madness. After he let out a roar, he drew his heavenly cloud bow and shot out a dozen arrows in succession. His wasp tail needles immediately turned into death-hastening talismans and shot toward Lord Heavenly Evil. You are even willing to give up the ruler artifact. It seems that you are fighting with the determination to die. However, this king won't let you hurt this king's subordinates. The Heavenly Evil King definitely didn't have the strength to withstand these attacks. At this critical moment, the Demon Queen used the Divine Void Cloud again and wanted to use it to neutralize the stingers shot by the 1000-demon bee king. Chapter 2805. Not only was the Void Divine Cloud unable to resolve the 1000-demon bee king's attack, it was also pierced by the stinger. After receiving several powerful attacks, the Void Divine Cloud finally couldn't hold on any longer. This was something the Demon King didn't expect. My Void Divine Cloud. The two of you, prepare to receive this king's fury. Seeing that his Void Divine Cloud had been pierced, the Demon King couldn't help but cry out in grief. The Void Divine Cloud was one of his most important trump cards. Now that it had been pierced, his heart ached so much that he was about to explode. This king is already prepared to die in battle. Show me everything you've got. But the Demon King must die. At this moment, the 1000-demon bee king had completely entered a frenzied state. With the Tianyun bow in his hand, he stared at the Demon King. Although the Demon King wasn't locked onto by the 1000-demon bee king, his expression was extremely ugly. The 1000-demon bee king's targeting made him really unhappy. However, facing an opponent with a Dominator divine weapon, he had no way to deal with it. Fight. He wasn't strong enough. He could only stand behind the Demon King. Soul 1 and Soul 3 from the Soul Slaughter estate stopped when they saw the situation develop like this. Whoever made a move now would be stirring up a hornet's nest. The two of them weren't that stupid. The Divine King and Wan Shang from the Myriad Miasma estate and the Poison Phoenix and Poison Han from the Poison Heart estate also stopped attacking. Damn it. You all have to die. The Demon King from the Heavenly Evil estate saw the situation in front of him, and anger rose in his heart. However, under the current situation, he didn't dare to speak too harshly. He was afraid that the people from the 3 territories would cooperate with the 1000-demon bee king and kill him in a fit of anger. He cursed in his heart and shot out demons at the 1000-demon bee king again. This time, there were a total of 7 demons. Each of them looked the same as the Demon King and had the strength of the Divine King. Seeing the Demon King summon so many demons, the 1000-demon bee king laughed manically. He drew his bow again and shot out several stingers. With the help of the Dominator divine weapon Tianyun bow, the power of these stingers was too great. The 7 demons that were summoned didn't even have a chance to attack before they were completely wiped out. Evil King, let's see who can save you now. After dealing with the 7 demons, the 1000-demon queen bee coldly laughed and shot another arrow at the evil King. Heavenly Evil Bloodline. When the 1000-demon queen bee shot out its stinger, the evil King had no way of dealing with it. Even the evil King would not be of much help. After the Demon King lost the Void God Cloud, she sent out the power of her bloodline. This was his other trump card. His goal was naturally to protect the evil king, to prevent her from being killed, to ensure the absolute power of the heavenly evil territory. This time, after the Demon King had activated her bloodline, she had paid a price and suffered some injuries. However, she had once again neutralized the stinger shot out by the 1000-demon queen bee. Temporarily protect the evil king. Thank you Demon King for taking care of me, otherwise, would have been wiped out. After being saved by the Devil King again and again, the Evil King immediately thanked her. It's still too early to say thanks. Do not underestimate that monarch god. In this array, the yuan qi we consume is several times faster than the outside world. That is to say, this array can absorb yuan qi. If he can use the absorbed yuan qi, things will be troublesome. While the Demon King was on guard against the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, her divine soul had been locked onto Night Sorrow. Although Yi Shang didn't seem to reveal his true strength, he gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. The Demon King knew that the array they were in was not simple. I will pay attention to him. After the Demon Queen gave her instructions, the Evil King used her divine soul to guard against Night Sorrow. Seeing the Evil King's gaze, Night Sorrow did not say anything. At this moment, he did not use the yuan qi absorbed by the Heaven and Earth Spirit Gathering Array, preparing to use it when he underwent nirvana. However, when the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee went crazy, although he did not make a move, he had been studying the current situation. Currently, apart from the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, there were only 9 Divine King with fighting strength in the few large territories. If he could kill one of the Divine King of the Heavenly Evil Territory. When he faked his death, it would become a 2 versus 2 situation for the 4 large territories. As long as their competition was cruel enough, a few Divine King would definitely die. In that case, after Night Sorrow underwent nirvana, as long as he joined forces with the Divine World Territory, he would be able to completely eliminate them and completely solve the problem. It seems that exchanging 2 for 1 with the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee is actually a very good choice. However, killing the Evil King doesn't seem to be the best choice. Only by killing the Evil King can I further reduce the strength of the Heavenly Evil Territory. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, feign an attack on the Evil King and actually kill the Evil King. This time, I will go all out and kill her at all costs. Evil King? Good. Killing those who are stronger is indeed a better choice. The 1,000 Demon Queen Bee revealed a crazed expression. While transmitting her voice to Night Sorrow, she once again shot out several stingers at the Evil King. 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, let's see how long you can last. Seeing that the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee was using the same trick again, the Evil King immediately resisted the stingers, wanting to completely neutralize them. The Evil King and the Evil King also took action to neutralize the stingers. At this time, Night Sorrow continued to transmit his voice to the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee. Good opportunity. Let's kill the Evil King. Good. After this king has fused with the origin energy, he has learned a teleportation secret skill. He can use it immediately. Although the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee was transmitting her voice, her tone gave off a very cold feeling. If not for the fact that he was sure that he would soon die and become his raw material, Night Sorrow would definitely not have lent out Tianyun Bao. Hearing the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee's words, Night Sorrow said, I will continuously use my skills. You just need to quickly get close and kill him in an instant. Okay. The 1,000 Demon Queen Bee replied coldly. I'm going to make my move. Night Sorrow, who had been preparing his attack, finally moved. At this moment, not only did he activate the Treastrimsa battle secret technique, he also used the limitless body tempering art to raise his strength to the strongest state. He used the Samsara halberd to pretend to attack the Evil King. When the Evil King was blocking, he suddenly used the soft dragon roar that he had learned from the Dragon Sparrow King. Night Sorrow, who had erupted with his full strength, roared out the soft dragon roar, immediately causing the Evil King, who was not prepared, to be stunned for a moment. His divine soul was damaged and in that instant, he was unable to control himself. After shaking the Evil King's divine soul, Night Sorrow directly activated the virtuous dragon locking array on him. At the same time, Night Sorrow also entered the dragon locking array. After entering, he immediately did an extremely crazy thing. That was to self-destruct on the spot. Night Sorrow chose to self-destruct in the array. This caused all the Divine King present to be unable to understand. Chapter 2806. Damn it. When the Demon King saw that Night Sorrow had chosen to self-destruct, she felt that she was too far away to help. This was something she had never expected. At the same time, the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, who had also not expected Night Sorrow to choose to self-destruct, instantly teleported towards the dying Evil Shade King, raised the Tianyun Bao, and smashed her to death. Evil Shade King. Seeing that the Evil Shade King had been severely injured by Night Sorrow and killed by the Thousand Demon Queen Bee, the Een Demon King immediately roared. Now that the original owner of the Dominator Divine Weapon, Night Sorrow, had chosen to self-destruct, some of the Divine King present could not help but attack. They besieged the Thousand Demonic Wasp King, who was wielding the Heavenly Cloud Bow. Although the Thousand Demonic Wasp King had fused with the Thousand Wasp Origin and had the help of a sovereign artifact, he was still outnumbered. After fighting for a few rounds, she was severely injured. In the end, she chose to self-destruct like Night Sorrow. However, she did not cause any fatal damage to the remaining 8 Divine King. Before self-destructing, the Thousand Demon Queen Bee had tried to make Tianyun Bao self-destruct to kill all the Divine King present. However, how could Tianyun Bao be controlled by her? After the Thousand Demon Queen Bee died, Tianyun Bao floated in the air, emitting a restrained but charming light. The 8 great Divine Kings of the 4 territories stopped one after another at this time. No one took the initiative to grab Tianyun Bao. Every one of them wanted to take Tianyun Bao for themselves. At the very least, they hoped that Tianyun Bao would fall into their hands. However, everyone knew that the hunter would shoot the bird that stuck out. Everyone, we can't keep wasting time like this. How do you think we should determine the ownership of the Dominator Divine Weapon? After a moment of silence, the Een Demon King from the Heavenly Diabolism territory said eerily. She was the strongest person present, so her words were very imposing. How do we determine the ownership? That's a good question. When Han Yi, the leader of the Soul Slaughtering Estate, heard what the Een Demon King said, he immediately agreed. His tone was very playful. It was very obvious that he did not want to give up the fight for Tianyun Bao. The leader of the 10,000 Miasma region, Wan raged, after transforming into his human form. His expression carried a trace of cold arrogance. Een Devil King, you can tell us your thoughts, and we will make a further decision. Yes. Een Devil King, you are the strongest person here. This king also wants to hear your opinion. Poison Heart Territory's Poison Phoenix had the same thoughts as the other 2. Good. Then, I'll tell you my thoughts. The Een Demon King said sinisterly and continued, among the people here, this king is the strongest. There's no doubt about that, right? If a fight were to break out, after the final melee, it was very likely that only this king would be able to survive. But if such a fight were to occur. When he said this, he suddenly stopped. What would happen if such a fight happened? Seeing that the Een Demon King had suddenly stopped, the leader of the Soul Slaughtering Estate, Han Yi, asked. I will kill you, then discuss how to distribute Tianyun Bao. The Een Demon King looked at Han Yi. When she spoke, she was still smiling. But halfway through her words, she directly attacked. Een Demon King, you want to kill this king? You are courting death. Han Yi was originally on guard against the Een Demon King. Hence, the moment the Een Demon King attacked, he reacted. He instantly turned into nothingness and scattered into the void, dodging the Een Demon King's attack. The Soul Slaughtering clan also had this method of sneaking into the void. After Han emerged into the void, Han Sen immediately became alert and merged himself into the void. Hee. Not bad, but the methods of your Soul Slaughtering clan are completely useless against this king. Han Yi and Han Sen disappeared into the void. Poison Heart Territory's Poison Phoenix immediately spat out a poisonous fog into the void. When the green poisonous fog was spat out into the void, it immediately spread for hundreds of thousands of miles. Other than Tianyun Bao's surroundings, everywhere else was filled with dense poisonous fog. Poison Phoenix, you actually helped the Een Demon King deal with this king. After the Poison Phoenix attacked, Han Yi's furious voice immediately sounded from the void. Soon, Han Yi and Han Sen fell out of the void. Poison Phoenix's methods were innately effective against the Soul Slaughtering clan. If Han Yi and Han Sen did not come out of the void, they would quickly be poisoned. Hee hee. Not only did she help the Demon King, but I also did the same. The leader of the myriad miasma estate, Wan raged, immediately attacked with his subordinate, Wan Shang, when Hun Yi and Hun Sen fell out of the void. The two of you, deal with this king the same way the Demon King will deal with you later. Hun Yi and Hun San were immediately enraged when they were surrounded by the sixth divine king. They did not expect that everyone would choose to deal with them first. That's none of your business. If the two of you die, there will be two less competitors. The Demon King said coldly and attacked Hun Yi and Hun Sen again. Demon King, you have used up all your tricks. In the end, you will definitely suffer retribution. Hun Yi was very strong, but he could not do anything when he was surrounded. 2 against 6 was already beyond his ability to resist. At this time, Hun Sen reminded, "Leader. Now it seems that we will definitely die. Why don't we merge with the soul-slaughtering origin and fight to the death?" I did not expect that when we were attacking the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee, we would encounter such retribution and walk on the same path as him. Hun Yi sighed. Without any hesitation, he immediately summoned the soul-slaughtering origin. The 1,000 Demon Queen Bee and the owner of the Dominator Divine Artifact fought to the death against the evil King of the Heavenly Diabolism Estate. This king felt that it was not worth it, but now this king has also walked on the same path. You guys, whoever attacks first, this king will kill you. After merging with the soul-slaughtering origin, Hun Yi's tone became even colder and more murderous. Hun Yi, others may be afraid of you merging with the origin, but I, the Demon King, am not. Prepare to die. Everyone, follow me. Kill Hun Sen first. Seeing that Hun Yi had merged with the soul-slaughtering origin, the Demon King, who had already expected this, immediately cooperated with the heavenly evil origin and fought with Hun Yi. Although the Demon King had not merged with the heavenly evil origin, she could borrow the power of the heavenly evil origin and make the heavenly evil origin cooperate with her. The others, who were originally very wary of Hun Yi, saw that the Demon King was so powerful and immediately attacked again. Soon, they killed Hun San. Only Hun Yi was left to face the 5 Divine King alone. Hun Yi's eyes were filled with hatred, but he could not do anything to the 5 opponents in front of him. Not long after, he chose to self-destruct like Night Sorrow and the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee. Night Sorrow seemed to have pointed out a path for these Divine King. When Hun Yi self-destructed, the 6 Divine King who were vigilant did not suffer any serious injuries. Chapter 2807. When the Demon King spoke, the leaders of the Myriad Miasma Estate and Poison Heart Estate didn't speak. Behind them, Wan Shang and Du Han didn't speak either. At this time, the Demon King sneered. "Why aren't you speaking? Don't you want the ruler artifact? Who doesn't want the ruler artifact? But you have to be alive to get it." After the Demon King spoke, the leader of the Myriad Miasma Estate, Wan Nu, laughed coldly. Hee hee. A wise man submits to circumstances. Wan Nu, you've made the right choice. The Myriad Miasma Territories leader, Wan Nu's words satisfied the Demon Monarch. She looked at Poison Heart Estate's Poison Phoenix and asked, "Poison Phoenix, what do you mean?" "What do I mean? What I mean is, I'll kill you with Wan Nu." Poison Heart Territories King Poison Phoenix opened her mouth and immediately spat out a thick poisonous mist at the Devil King. After Soul One was killed, the poison mist, which had gradually weakened, rose again. At this time, Wan Nu, the leader of the Myriad Miasma Estate, smiled and said, "Demon King, we agree to cooperate with you to kill Soul One. Can't you understand what's going on? A wise man submits to circumstances. If you understand this logic, immediately give up fighting for the ruler artifact." Hee hee. Wan Nu, it seems that this king underestimated your determination. The Demon King wasn't surprised that Wan Nu and Poison Phoenix had joined forces. She smiled coldly. "Since you want to die together, this king will satisfy you." As the Demon King spoke, another Demon King appeared where Tianyun Bao was. The other Demon King grabbed the Heaven Cloud Bao in her hand and laughed loudly. When we were dealing with Soul One, this king's doppelganger had already infiltrated the ruler artifact. Tianyun Bao, what a good name. The Demon King's doppelganger holding the Tianyun Bao trembled. The texture of the Tianyun Bao was something that a king-grade artifact definitely didn't have. Holding it in her hand, she could feel a powerful force. Demon King. You're so scheming. The leader of the 10,000 miasma territory, Wan raged, had never thought that the Devil King had already secretly obtained Tianyun Bao. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to the Poison Phoenix. He has a sovereign artifact. What should we do? What else can we do? Fight to the death. He has just obtained a sovereign artifact. At most, he can use it as a close-range divine artifact. It's not a fatal threat. Poison Phoenix said. Haha. Now, enjoy the power of the sovereign artifact. Just as Poison Phoenix's voice was heard by Myriad Fury, the Demon King's cold voice was heard. Then, the Demon King's clone took out a dozen stingers from the 1,000 Demon Queen Bee and shot them at the 4 Divine King. The evil King stood behind the Demon King. Fight. We will fight 4 against 2, first kill the evil King, then deal with the Devil King. Facing the Devil King's wasp stinger, the Poison Phoenix immediately transformed into the Poison Phoenix's body and fanned out a dense poison mist. She wanted to use this to corrode the wasp stinger. But the result disappointed her. The wasp stinger shot out by the sovereign artifact Tianyun Bao was unexpectedly powerful. It was several times more powerful than the 1,000 Demon Queen Bees. It seems that the Tianyun Bao can only unleash its true power in the hands of a true expert. After the Demon King shot out the wasp stinger continuously and merged with her clone, the power of the arrows shot out was even greater. Thus, Myriad Fury, Poison Phoenix, and the others could only passively defend. Since we are already in this situation, let's not hide anymore, right? Myriad Fury, who was suppressed by the Demon King, sent a voice transmission to the Poison Phoenix. His tone was extremely cold. Good. Kill the Demon King and then study other things. The Poison Phoenix's voice was also filled with killing intent. In an instant, the two's auras began to grow infinitely. Soon, their auras were raised to the same level as the Demon King. You two have indeed hidden your strength. But the sovereign artifact is already in my hands. You are no match for it. This king will first kill you two, then destroy the divine world territory. The Demon King continued to shoot the wasp stinger while holding the Tianyun Bao in her hand. She seemed to have expected that the Poison Phoenix and Myriad Fury would raise their strength. You want to kill us? You are not enough. At the same time, Myriad Fury's body suddenly exploded in the void. But he didn't self-destruct. Instead, he turned into the miasma origin. He had already merged with the 1,000 miasma origin. The Poison Phoenix directly swallowed the Poison Heart origin into her stomach and also raised her strength. Then, they started to fight fiercely with the Demon King. At this moment, some of the Divine King, who was originally resting on the side, also joined the battle. For a moment, the scene became even more chaotic. These Divine King might have already gotten used to the heaven and earth spiritual energy gathering array and consuming their divine essence energy too quickly. They didn't notice that while they were fighting, the heaven and earth spiritual energy gathering array was gradually increasing the speed of energy absorption. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had self-destructed, was reborn. Under the influence of the Nirvana rebirth technique, his body quickly reformed under the heaven and earth spiritual energy gathering array. Moreover, he absorbed the energy accumulated by the array, which contained a large amount of power of virtue. In addition, the Nirvana rebirth technique could originally raise a cultivator's strength. After absorbing this energy, Night Sorrow directly raised his power of virtue to the level of a high-level divine lord. Night Sorrow is about to wake up. When he wakes up, the lightning tribulation will immediately descend, and he will soon become a high-level divine lord. In the clear sky pagoda beside Night Sorrow, the Fire Phoenix King, who was observing Night Sorrow's transformation, comforted the worried Dragon Sparrow King and Cao Ling. Just now, in the clear sky pagoda, Cao Ling had witnessed the scene of Night Sorrow self-destructing. She was so worried that she cried. At this moment, hearing the Fire Phoenix King's words, Cao Ling smiled through her tears. Big Brother Night Sorrow's cultivation speed is really unprecedented. How long have you known Lord Night Sorrow? What was his strength at that time? Hearing Cao Ling's words, Dragon Sparrow King immediately asked curiously. I can't count the time in the spatial artifact, but it shouldn't be more than 100 years. At that time, his strength seemed to be a mid-level divine lord. Or a high-level divine lord. In any case, he wasn't a divine lord. Recalling the past, Cao Ling said. Hearing this, the Fire Phoenix King and Dragon Sparrow King looked at each other, the corners of their mouths trembling. They wanted to say something, but they didn't. In less than 100 years, he had advanced from a divine lord to a high-level divine lord. This was simply the speed of a feather god's breakthrough. Boom! About half a month later, the sound of thunder suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. I originally wanted to wait a little longer. Since you're here, then come. After the sound of thunder rang out, Night Sorrow slowly stood up from the underground space. Although he was in a state of death after self-destructing, because of the heaven and earth spiritual energy gathering array, he knew the extent of the battle outside. Chapter 2808. After half a month of intense fighting, the Demon King, who was holding the Tianyun Bao, was all alone in the heaven and earth spirit gathering array. However, the only opponents left were Poison Phoenix and Wan Ru, who could use the power of the origin. The other Divine King couldn't withstand his attacks at all. The leaders of the three territories were all fighting alone. The tens of millions of troops behind them had all fallen in the process of fighting for the Tianyun Bao. However, the three of them didn't even bat an eye at this. For the three of them, obtaining the sovereign artifact meant that they had a chance to comprehend the laws of the sovereign realm. Only by breaking through to the sovereign realm could they completely leave the world in front of them and return to their own world. As for the Tianyun Bao, the three of them didn't budge an inch. Fighting in the heaven and earth spirit gathering array would cause the essence chi in their bodies to be absorbed by the array. After half a month of fighting, although they had been using elixirs to maintain the essence chi in their bodies, the consumption of their souls was quite large. Even the Demon King couldn't withstand it. However, Poison Phoenix and Wan Ru's condition was clearly worse than his. The Demon King wanted to get rid of them in one go. Then find a place to recuperate. After recuperating, he, who held the Tianyun Bao, had the ability to destroy the divine world's cultivators with his own strength. At that time, he would absorb the divine world's origin. His strength would definitely improve, and he would be infinitely close to the sovereign realm. Thinking of what might happen in the future, the Demon King smiled sinisterly and threatened, "Your divine souls have been corroded beyond recognition by the array. This king will give you two a chance to surrender. Otherwise, this king will completely annihilate you." It wasn't easy for the Demon King to defeat Poison Phoenix and Wan Ru. However, with Tianyun Bao's help, she should be able to achieve a narrow victory. If she could win without bloodshed, it would definitely be better than a narrow victory. Hearing the Demon King's words, Poison Phoenix sneered, "Demon King, we've already fought to this point. Don't you think it's funny to say such words?" Wan Ru also laughed, but it was an extremely cold laugh. "You were the first to obtain the sovereign artifact. Otherwise, you would already be dead. This king has the sovereign artifact, and is stronger than the two of you. This is because his providence is stronger than yours. You don't know what's good for you. You're just digging your own graves. The final victor is this king." The Demon King was certain that Poison Phoenix and 10,000 Fury were prepared to fight to the death. The killing intent that she had temporarily retracted was released once again. He raised the Tianyun bow and continued to fight with the two of them. This time, the Devil King completely unleashed all of her means, severely injuring Wanru very quickly. 10,000 Fury. How are you? Poison Phoenix used a method to save Wanru's life from the Devil King's hands and immediately asked. Not good. He was afraid that he would not be able to escape death. Don't worry, I will do my best to help you. There was a trace of unwillingness in Wan Raging's eyes, but there was nothing he could do. His injuries were too heavy. If he continued fighting, he could only use forbidden techniques. I will find a way to revive you. Poison Phoenix said as she prepared to attack the Devil King with myriad wrath. Boom! At this moment, the sound of thunder that had been ringing for a while suddenly became more intense. Hearing the dense sound of thunder, Night Sorrow, who had already successfully undergone nirvana in the heaven and earth spirit gathering array, revealed a smile. He transmitted his voice to the three people in the clear sky pagoda. The lightning tribulation can no longer be suppressed. We have to go up. Be careful of the remaining few. Fire Phoenix King reminded him and then stopped talking. As for Dragon Sparrow King and Cow Ling, they were afraid of disturbing Night Sorrow, so they didn't speak. Don't worry. It's not difficult for me to transcend the tribulation. Night Sorrow said as he broke through the ground and soared into the sky. What's going on? The three territorial lords were fighting to such an extent, and a cultivator suddenly rushed out from the ground, immediately attracting their attention. What's going on? I'm the one transcending the tribulation. At the same time that Night Sorrow replied, he charged towards the lightning tribulation energy body in the sky. I didn't expect that your self-destruction was just a fake death. What deep scheming. Die for this king. After discovering that the figure that jumped out from the ground was Night Sorrow, the Demon King immediately shot an arrow in anger. He had already gone crazy for the ruler artifact. When he saw Night Sorrow, the master of Tianyun Bao, appear, he didn't even care about Poison Phoenix and Wanru. What should we do? Poison Phoenix, who was in a passive position, saw Night Sorrow suddenly appear and the Demon King crazily attack. She immediately hesitated. At present, it was definitely the best choice for them to watch from the sidelines. If they ignore this king for 5 hours, then this king can recover more than half of his combat strength without using forbidden methods. Wanru, who was originally prepared to use forbidden methods to barely increase his combat strength, said with some relief. That's good. Hurry up and recover. I'll protect you. Poison Phoenix heaved a sigh of relief. If Wanru died in battle, then she wouldn't be a match for the Demon King. I'll recover as soon as possible. Wanru, who was using the origin energy in his body to heal his injuries, said and sat on the ground. Okay. Poison Phoenix glanced at Wanru and then raised her head to look at the Demon King. She knew that Night Sorrow needed to pass the tribulation, so she was worried about the Demon King first. Poison Phoenix didn't expect that the moment she raised her head, the Demon King had already shot dozens of arrows in Wanru's direction. She wanted to block it, but it was too late. Wanru, who had just recovered from his injuries, was even more unprepared. He was immediately killed by these arrows. Humph. This king said that your luck isn't good enough. You'll be killed by this king. The Demon King, who had pretended to attack Night Sorrow to divert Poison Phoenix and Wanru's attention, laughed sinisterly after killing Wanru. The attack on Night Sorrow was just a feint. Her goal was to make Wanru and Poison Phoenix lower their guard. Unexpectedly, Wanru, who had incomparably rich combat experience, fell for it. Demon King. Don't be happy too early. Today, even if you join hands with the cultivators of the God Realm, Poison Phoenix King won't let you off. Seeing that Wanru was killed, Poison Phoenix, who didn't have the confidence to face the Demon King alone, immediately shouted. This was to express goodwill to Night Sorrow. In her opinion, if she cooperated with Night Sorrow to kill the Demon King, then she would have a chance to fight the final battle with Night Sorrow. Hearing Poison Phoenix's goodwill, Night Sorrow, who had quickly dealt with the lightning tribulation energy body and successfully advanced to a high-level divine lord, revealed a smile. A smile appeared on his face as he said, "Poison Phoenix, I understand what you mean. I'll cooperate with you. Let's kill the Demon King together." Humph. Divine Lord Ant, your reliance Tian Yun Bao is already in this king's hands. What are you relying on? Seeing Night Sorrow's cultivation, the Demon King said disdainfully. Until now, she still felt that Night Sorrow was able to pose a threat to them completely because of Tian Yun Bao's power. You'll understand soon. Chapter 2809. Good. Let's attack together. Poison Phoenix replied to Night Sorrow and reminded him, "Be careful of the Demon King, she is very cunning. As for the Tian Yun Bao in her hands, you should know its power." In her opinion, although Night Sorrow was an ally, his cultivation was only at the Divine Lord level. She was worried that he would be killed immediately if he was not strong enough. "Don't worry, I won't be killed so easily." As Yi Shang sent a voice projection to the Poison Phoenix, the worldly spirit gathering formation absorbed Wanru without anyone noticing. Including the 1,000 miasma origin in his body, it was all absorbed. Night Sorrow, who had advanced to the upper Divine Lord level, immediately took all of it for himself. Good. I hope you won't disappoint this king. Poison Phoenix sent a voice transmission to Yi Shang before transforming into a dark green phoenix again. She then used her power of origin. She flapped her wings at the Demon King and released endless poisonous gas. "You're still using this move." Seeing Poison Phoenix use her poison technique again, the Demon King laughed disdainfully. While dodging, she used the Tian Yun Bao again and shot it at Poison Phoenix and Night Sorrow. At the same time, the Demon King summoned her doppelganger and let her doppelganger fight with Night Sorrow while her main body fought with Poison Phoenix. Both the Demon King and Poison Phoenix had always looked down on Night Sorrow's strength. They felt that with the Tian Yun Bao in his hands, he would not be able to threaten the upper Divine King. The Demon King felt that sending out a doppelganger was enough to deal with Night Sorrow. Her main body focused on dealing with Poison Phoenix. Night Sorrow, who originally wanted to use some of his strength, saw the situation in front of him. After dodging the arrows shot by the Demon King, he fought with her doppelganger. After the Demon King summoned her doppelganger, her strength was reduced. When fighting against Poison Phoenix, her advantage was not as great as before. The strength of the Demon King's doppelganger and main body can be divided at will. When fighting, try your best to let her use more strength. Only then will this king have a chance to kill him. Seeing that Night Sorrow had the ability to block the Demon King's clone, Poison Phoenix immediately asked him to try his best to make the Demon King put in more effort. Good. I will try my best to use my ultimate skill. Night Sorrow replied. He had said that he would try his best to use his ultimate technique, but he did not say that he would use his full strength. In fact, he had indeed held back. For Night Sorrow, it was a pleasant surprise to be able to watch the battle between the two under such circumstances. He was very satisfied. Under such circumstances, Poison Phoenix clearly didn't have the time to pay attention to this. She was focused on fighting the Demon King. Poison Phoenix. Do you think that just because you found a monarch god as a helper, you have the power to fight? Stop dreaming. The Devil King, who was fighting Poison Phoenix, let out a cold roar after the battle stabilized. She grabbed Tian Yun Bao in her hand and used him as a melee weapon. Then, she used a ghostly movement technique to attack. After fighting for more than half a month, this was the first time the Demon King used his abnormal movement technique. What? So fast? After the Demon King unleashed her full power, her speed reached a certain level. As a member of the Phoenix race, Poison Phoenix's speed was far inferior to hers. She was quickly closed in. Hee. This king's name is the Demon King. The Demon body's speed is unparalleled. You don't even know this. After closing in on Poison Phoenix, the Demon King immediately took the initiative. The Phoenix God was constantly attacked. After Poison Phoenix fell into a disadvantage, she felt that the Phoenix God was not suitable for battle and immediately turned back into her human form. However, her speed was still below the Demon King's. She was continuously attacked by the Tianyun Bao. Ha ha ha. All of you must die. While suppressing Poison Phoenix, the Demon King's clone attacked Night Sorrow at the same time. She wanted to put pressure on him so that he wouldn't have a chance to save her. Hee hee. You are really thinking too much. Seeing the Demon King's performance, Night Sorrow remained calm and continued to fight against the Demon King's clone. As for Poison Phoenix, although she was suppressed, she still didn't feel that Night Sorrow had the ability to help her. Clearly, she didn't consider him at all. Under such circumstances, after fighting for about an hour, Poison Phoenix was completely killed by the Demon King. After killing the Poison Phoenix, the Devil King immediately merged with her doppelganger. She looked at Night Sorrow sinisterly and said, "I will give you one more chance. Choose soul submission. Otherwise, you will be killed immediately." Killed immediately? I also want to say the same to you. Hearing the Demon King's words, Night Sorrow disdainfully retorted. To him, this was the situation he was waiting for. Good. 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 Even now, you are still stubborn. Then don't blame this king for not caring about your favor of giving me the sovereign divine weapon. The Demon King holding the Tianyun Bao looked at Night Sorrow mockingly. Hearing the Demon King's words, Night Sorrow couldn't help but laugh out loud. Demon King, Demon King. How should I describe you? Don't tell me that until now, you still haven't realized that I purposely lured Tianyun Bao into your battle. I know. Of course, this king knows. But now that Tianyun Bao is in this king's hands, what awaits you is death. Have a taste of dying in the hands of your own divine weapon. The Demon King laughed sinisterly. She drew her bow and prepared to shoot the arrow of heavenly evil at Night Sorrow. The arrow of heavenly evil was formed from the source of heavenly evil. It was very powerful. Even Divine King like Thousand Fury and Poison Phoenix had to avoid its sharpness. He saw the Demon King's performance. Night Sorrow laughed again. You still don't understand what I mean. How sad. At this point, Night Sorrow roared, Tianyun Bao, come back. Wang. Receiving Night Sorrow's summon, the Tianyun Bao in the Demon King's hand suddenly trembled and immediately bounced out of the Demon King's hand. It flew towards Night Sorrow's position. How could this be? How is this possible? Tianyun Bao clearly hasn't been recognized as its master. In an instant, Tianyun Bao erupted with a terrifying power and blasted it away, flying back into Night Sorrow's hand. The Demon King's face was filled with disbelief. It was precisely because he was sure that Tianyun Bao was an ownerless item that even he couldn't make it recognize him as its master that he felt that Night Sorrow, the original owner, couldn't take it back. In front of him, Night Sorrow summoned Tianyun Bao back with a single sentence. This made the Demon King completely crazy. The arrow of heavenly evil in his hand scattered because of this. Tianyun Bao, remove the filth. Night Sorrow, who was holding Tianyun Bao in his hand, immediately poured blood into Tianyun Bao. After absorbing a large amount of Night Sorrow's blood, Tianyun Bao, who was originally emitting light, immediately bloomed with an even more resplendent light. Tianyun Bao's body was also gradually covered with dragon patterns. Demon King, it's better if you taste Tianyun Bao. After helping Tianyun Bao completely dispel the filth, Night Sorrow immediately shot the Merit 5 Elements arrow at the Demon King. Chapter 28:10. Good move. I didn't expect that all of us experts would be schemed against by an ant like you. However, with your Divine Lord level abilities, even with Tianyun Bao, you won't be this king's match. As for your array, it won't be able to trap this king at all. The Een Demon King was very unhappy that Tian Yunbao had been snatched away from her, but she was still confident in her own strength. She immediately adjusted her attitude. In her opinion, as long as she killed Night Sorrow, Tian Yunbao would definitely fall into her hands again. After being bound by the virtuous dragon locking array, the Een Demon King immediately shattered the sealed space and used her ghostly movement technique to dodge the 5-element arrows. You think too simply. Do you think you can dodge my 5-element arrows so easily after I raise my strength? Seeing that the Een Demon King wanted to use her movement technique to dodge the 5-element arrows, Night Sorrow coldly snorted and shot out the virtuous 5-element arrows again. After the 2 sets of 5-element arrows were shot out, they immediately chased after the Een Demon King. No matter how strong her movement technique was or how fast she was, she couldn't dodge them all at once. Boom! After a loud sound, the Een Demon King was hit by one of the 5-element arrows. Night Sorrow, who had advanced to an upper divine lord, could unleash even more power than Tian Yunbao. The 5-element arrows he shot out were much stronger than when he was an intermediate divine lord. They couldn't be compared at all. This set of 5-element arrows immediately heavily injured the Een Demon King, who was already in a bad state. A divine lord can also unleash such an attack. The heavily injured Een Devil King continued to dodge the other set of 5-element arrows while she was injured. At the same time, she shot out 3 Een Devils at Yi Sorrow. Although these 3 Een Demons were different from her doppelgangers, they were very strong and were about as strong as the intermediate divine king. Using the 3 Een Demons to temporarily hold back Night Sorrow, the Een Demon King summoned 5 Een Demons that were much weaker and used up the virtuous 5-element arrows. Evil Regeneration Technique. While the 3 Een Demons were restraining Night Sorrow, the Een Demon King used the heavenly evil source energy to cast a secret technique that was close to rebirth. The injuries on his body were completely healed, and his aura had clearly increased. Try this king's strongest attack. After the Een Demon King increased her strength, she immediately turned into countless Een Demons and attacked Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow had just used Tian Yunbao as a close combat weapon to kill 3 Een Demons. At the same time, he used the Heaven and Earth Spirit Gathering Array to replenish his lost vitality. When the Een Demon King transformed into countless Een Demons and attacked, he immediately activated the Sea Serpent Eye to determine the other party's true body. He realized that the Een Demon King's true body was constantly changing, switching between the various Een Demons. I understand now. The true body of the Een Demon King can change at will and appear on any Een Demon. Using the Sea Serpent Eye to observe, Night Sorrow analyzed the essence of the Een Demon King's move. Facing this move, Night Sorrow didn't panic. He recalled the dragon roar, soft dragon roar that the Dragon Sparrow King had imparted to him and suddenly roared. Roar. After a divine soul attack that sounded like a dragon's roar exploded, all the phantoms summoned by the Een Devil King disappeared. Your strongest attack is only so-so. After shattering the Een Demon King's Een Demons, Night Sorrow immediately used the Samsara Halberd and shot out the Forbidden Spear. After increasing his strength, his raw strength had greatly increased. Furthermore, he was currently in the Heaven and Earth Spirit Gathering Array, so his divine essence energy wasn't much weaker than the Een Demon King's. When he used the half-step Dominator grade divine artifact, the Samsara Halberd, the power was completely different. I didn't expect you to have a half-step Dominator grade divine artifact. Unfortunately, this king's void divine cloud has been destroyed. The other divine artifacts have also been heavily damaged. Facing Night Sorrow's Forbidden Spear, the Een Demon King's incomparably evil eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness. When Night Sorrow used the Nirvana Rebirth technique, he had been fighting fiercely, and the divine artifacts in his hands had been mostly used up. Facing the Forbidden Spear, he could only choose to avoid it. Your momentum is already gone. Today, you will lose without a doubt. Prepare to die. In the Heaven and Earth Spirit Gathering Array, the spirit chi on Night Sorrow's body kept increasing. The divine king that had fallen in the array had all become his nourishment. As he continued to absorb, Night Sorrow felt that his strength was still increasing. Although he understood that this was a temporary increase, Night Sorrow still felt invincible. As the Demon King dodged the forbidden spear, he shot out another arrow of virtue. Even though the arrow of virtue was not a 5 elements arrow, it was infused with the poison heart origin and the myriad miasma origin. The 2 divine kings had just fallen, and their origin energies had been absorbed by the heaven and earth spirit gathering array. Night Sorrow could temporarily use it, but he couldn't completely absorb it for his own use. So your array has this kind of power. Seeing that Night Sorrow had added poison heart origin and myriad miasma origin to the arrow of virtue, the Demon King roared. The Demon King roared angrily and mocked, "However, your power of virtue is mixed with the so-called evil origin. Aren't you afraid of being corroded? Attacking is just a method. My heart is towards the light, and I can purify everything in the world. You don't have to worry about this." After shooting the arrow, Night Sorrow knew that the Demon King wouldn't feel good. At the same time, he shot out another 5-element arrow. After shooting out 3 sets, he didn't stop. Instead, he continued to brew. In the end, after shooting out 5 sets, the combination of the 5-element arrows changed in an instant. When the 5 arrows formed the array, the 5 sets of arrows also underwent a miraculous change, forming the 5-element arrow array. Its power increased by more than 10 times. This king, at this moment, the Demon King had just used all the origin energies in her body to dissolve the poison heart origin and myriad miasma origin. The arrow of virtue immediately saw the 5-element arrow array shot out by Tianyun Bao. Her heart immediately turned cold. At this moment, the Demon King smelled the scent of death. Reality proved that the Demon King's perception was correct. Although Night Sorrow had consumed a lot of energy to shoot the 5-element arrow array, the harvest was also gratifying. The Demon King, who had originally wanted to escape from the heaven and earth spirit gathering array, was directly killed by the arrow array. After destroying the Demon King, Night Sorrow felt that he was invincible in the realm of the Divine King. However, after thinking about it, he felt that this was the credit of the heaven and earth spirit gathering array. Moreover, it was also because the Demon King had been continuously fighting, and her methods were more or less exhausted. If it was the Demon King at her peak, even if he used the 5-element arrow array, it would still be very difficult to get rid of her. Haha. Lord Night Sorrow, you are really amazing. He had single-handedly eliminated all threats from the 7 territories. As expected of the person chosen by the Lord. Chapter 28:11. The Fire Phoenix King was also very excited. She transmitted her voice to Night Sorrow, "Night Sorrow. Now that the crisis of the 7 territories has been eliminated, you have passed the Lord's test." Yes. It really wasn't easy. If not for the fact that these evil creatures were born with a murderous nature and were very conceited, I'm afraid it wouldn't have been so easy to deal with. Night Sorrow thought back and felt that the few leaders, including the Devil King, were all mesmerized by the Dominator divine weapon. He definitely couldn't rely on his own strength to save the divine realm. In the end, it's because Lord Night Sorrow's luck is strong enough, his methods are thick enough, and his methods are thick enough. The Dragon Sparrow King in the Clear Sky Pagoda laughed and said, "Ha ha ha. Thinking that I, Dragon Sparrow, will immediately see the light of day again, this feeling is really comfortable. This king is also looking forward to returning to the divine realm." Night Sorrow, thank you. The Fire Phoenix King in the Clear Sky Pagoda said, and then fell into deep thought, as if recalling the past. Cao Ling didn't seem to care about leaving this place, but she also smiled and congratulated Night Sorrow. Phew. I also feel relaxed. When saying this, Night Sorrow let out a heavy breath. At that time, facing so many divine king in the territories, he indeed felt a huge pressure. Especially when there was an expert like the Devil King among them. Right. I wonder if Zia, Zhong Lingxiao, and the others have successfully rushed back to the divine realm. At this time, the dust had already settled, and Night Sorrow immediately thought of Zia, Zhong Lingxiao, and the others. Why don't we go to the divine realm to confirm? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Dragon Sparrow King in the clear sky pagoda immediately said with a smile. Then, he continued, Lord Night Sorrow, you have saved the entire divine realm. Indeed, you should make a trip and enjoy their worship. Hee hee. There's no need for worship. I just want to confirm the safety of Mo Zia, Zhong Lingxiao, and the others, and then think of a way to leave this place. I don't know how to leave this place. The main thing is that no one has ever succeeded. Dragon Sparrow King asked doubtfully. Ever since this place had been built, no one knew how to pass the trial, and no one knew how to leave this place other than being teleported away after death. I think it's very likely that the people of the God realm know this secret. Let's head to the territory of the divine realm to confirm their safety. At the same time, we'll ask them how we can leave this place. Night Sorrow said as he put away the Samsara halberd and Tianyun bow and rushed towards the realm of the gods. Along the way, he discovered that the 7 territories of the God realm that had been destroyed by the accident had all returned to normal. Without the 7 great origins, there was no more darkness or blood in this small world. The surviving non-humankind creatures were only a small part of the total number. Everything had become beautiful. However, when he arrived at the celestial realm, Night Sorrow saw that the celestial realm's defensive array was still activated. The gates of the huge city were still closed. Standing outside the city, Night Sorrow shouted, May I ask if Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao are in the city? Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao are in the city. Who are you? The guards on the city walls immediately questioned when they saw Night Sorrow speak. I'm a friend of Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao. I saved them from the Scarlet Territory. Night Sorrow explained and continued, Please help me inform them that Night Sorrow is here to see them. Wait here. One of the guards said something to Night Sorrow and invited a divine king over. This was a long-haired old man with the appearance of a divine king. He had a sage-like appearance. He sized up Night Sorrow and said, I can see that you're not from the 7 territories. However, it's impossible for me to let you enter the city. Wait outside the city for a while. I'll send someone to call Mo Zia and Zhong Lingxiao over. Okay, I'll wait for them here. Night Sorrow replied and continued, However, there's one thing that you can rest assured about. The 7 territories have been completely destroyed. The haze that shrouded the divine world's territories has been completely dispelled. What? What did you say? Say it again. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the divine king on the city walls asked 3 short questions in a row. I said that the 7 territories had been completely destroyed. The 7 territories no longer exist. Yi Shan repeated his words once more. At this moment, the old divine king sized up Night Sorrow and coldly snorted, Nonsense. How could the 7 territories have been destroyed for no reason? Speak, are you a spy sent by the 7 territories? The 7 territories have indeed been destroyed. The one who did it was me. It was normal for the old divine king to be suspicious. Night Sorrow immediately explained. You, a mere high divine lord, wiped out everyone in the 7 great territories? How is that possible? The old divine king fumed at Night Sorrow's words, his eyes widened in disbelief. Look at what I'm holding. I cultivate the power of virtue and am a divine lord of virtue. I never speak nonsense. Night Sorrow felt that it was normal for the old divine king to be confused. He immediately summoned his power of virtue and had it turn into a dragon of virtue that coiled around his arm. A person of virtue never spoke nonsense. This was a principle that everyone knew. A divine lord of virtue, as expected of a divine lord of virtue. If what you said is true, then the divine world's crisis has really been resolved. The old god king immediately furrowed his brows when he saw the power of virtue that Night Sorrow had condensed. He said excitedly. Actually, he could not be blamed for his suspicions. There were at least 20 divine kings in the 7 great territories. Furthermore, they had 7 great origins. Wanting to eliminate all of them with just a single high celestial lord was simply a fantasy. However, Night Sorrow had already summoned his dragon of virtue. His words couldn't be false. The old divine king immediately felt that things were a little surreal. He sent people to inform Mo Zia, Zhong Lingxiao, and the others, as well as to invite the divine kings in the divine world. Up until now, there were a total of 5 divine king in the divine world, including the old divine king Mo Yen. They were the city lord Luan Xianhe, the vice city lords Tan Dong and Ling Fian, as well as Murong Yukong. When the old divine king sent people to invite the divine kings, Mo Zia, Zhong Lingxiao, and the others had already arrived. The moment he saw Night Sorrow, Zhong Lingxiao's face turned red. "Brother Night Sorrow, I'm really sorry. I didn't manage to invite the divine king in the city. I couldn't do anything about it, so." Mo Zia also had an awkward expression. "It's us who are ungrateful and stayed in the city to struggle at death's door. Almost all of the people in the 7 territories have been wiped out. You don't have to take it to heart." Night Sorrow waved his hand indifferently at them, indicating that he didn't care about this matter. "Almost all of the people in the 7 territories have been wiped out? Is this true?" Chapter 28:12. Of course it's true. Otherwise, Night Sorrow wouldn't have had a chance to escape when he was surrounded by the divine king of the 5 territories. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. Now that he saw Zhong Lingxiao, Mo Zia, and the others appear safely, the result was much better than he had imagined. Back then, he had predicted that Zhong Lingxiao, Mo Zia, and the others would all die, and then he would use the heaven and earth spirit gathering array to revive them. Yes. That's the reason. At that time, there were 20 or so divine king who broke into the array. If I hadn't killed them all, you wouldn't have had a chance to escape. Hearing Night Sorrow's explanation, Zhong Lingxiao immediately laughed excitedly. Mo Zia and the others also sighed in admiration and asked about the ins and outs of the matter. When Night Sorrow explained everything, everyone, including the old divine king, nodded in agreement. Among them, the old divine king even released his divine soul power to sense Night Sorrow's Tianyun Bao. After confirming that Tianyun Bao really had a ruler artifact, he was shocked, but at the same time, he also believed Night Sorrow's words. Don't be happy too early. There's another possibility, which is that he was restrained by the Een Devil King and the others and has already surrendered to them. Now, he's here to trick us into opening the array. Just as the old divine king and the others all chose to believe Night Sorrow. A cold voice suddenly sounded from the void. Then, a white-clothed man holding a long sword lightly landed on the city wall. After landing on the city wall, the white-clothed man looked at Night Sorrow and said, "This divine king is the vice city lord, Tan Dong." "Repeat what you said." "This divine king will determine if it's true or not." "I'll say it again." "You'll determine if it's true or not." "Why should you determine if it's true or not?" When the old divine king, Mo Zia, and the others spoke to Night Sorrow, they were all very polite and easygoing. However, Tan Dong's tone was rather unfriendly and carried a cold and threatening tone. Hearing this, Night Sorrow's expression changed and he replied coldly. "Based on the fact that this king is the vice city lord, and you are now a suspect in our God realm territory." Vice city lord Tan Dong had a completely high and mighty appearance. F***CK. What was that? Why didn't I see you acting so domineeringly back then? When the Dragon Sparrow King in the Clear Sky Pagoda saw how arrogant Tan Dong was, he immediately spoke in disdain. However, his voice could only be heard by Night Sorrow, Fire Phoenix King, and Cao Linger. However, he had indeed voiced out Night Sorrow's thoughts. If Tan Dong was truly capable, why would his territory in the God realm be beaten to such a state? Thinking about how he had sacrificed his life in exchange for the peace he had now, Yi Shang looked at Tan Dong and didn't say anything. He felt that he wouldn't have to fight or explain anything to such a person. "Hey! Why aren't you saying anything? Are you feeling guilty?" Night Sorrow didn't say anything, but Tan Dong roared even more fiercely. Seeing Tan Dong like this, the old divine king immediately tried to persuade him. Vice City Lord Tan Dong, don't be angry. Night Sorrow is the virtuous divine lord. His words are verified by the heavenly Tao. Old thing, are you saying that this king is being unreasonable? No one expected that when the old divine king spoke up for Night Sorrow, Tan Dong would suddenly fly into a rage and hit the old divine king's chest with his palm. Tan Dong. What are you doing? The old divine king, who had been hit by Tan Dong's sneak attack, looked at him in disbelief. I'm afraid you're meddling in other people's business. Tan Dong said coldly and ordered, the people outside are spies from the 7 territories. Suppress them immediately. Vice City Lord Tan Dong, you can't. Night Sorrow isn't a spy. He's definitely not a spy. He's the benefactor of our divine realm territory. Seeing that Tan Dong wanted to attack Night Sorrow, Zhong Lingxiao, Mo Zia, and the others tried to persuade him. They all felt that it was very strange. Although Tan Dong was usually as arrogant and unruly as he was today, he wouldn't attack a divine realm cultivator just because of a disagreement. Arrest Zhong Lingxiao and Mo Zia for this city lord. This city lord suspects that they're in cahoots with the one outside. At this moment, the cold-faced Tan Dong suddenly gave another order. Hearing this, the old divine king, Mo Yen, said, Vice City Lord. Mo Zia is my junior. You say that he's a spy. Are you suspecting me too? If you don't participate, then this has nothing to do with you. Otherwise, you'll be treated as spies too. After the old divine king, Mo Yen, spoke, Tan Dong's expression became even colder. Tan Dong. What do you mean? Hearing Tan Dong's words, the old divine king, Mo Yen, was immediately enraged. All this time, he had been fighting for the divine realm territory and had given his all. Now, he should be called a spy. Tan Dong looked as if there was no reason to reason with him. What I mean is that all of you have betrayed the divine realm territory. Arrest all of them. After Tan Dong gave the order, he roared, What are you all standing there for? Arrest all of them. This city lord wants to interrogate them properly. Isn't your goal the Tianyun Bao in my hands? Don't accuse me anymore. If you want it, come down and take it. You should know that the 7 territories no longer exist. Divine realm cultivators don't need to hide in the defensive array anymore. Seeing Tan Dong's expression, Night Sorrow replied with a cold laugh. He could clearly sense Tan Dong's desire for Tianyun Bao. Tan Dong's covetous gaze was not inferior to the Yin Demon King's. So, you are after their sovereign divine weapon. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the old divine king immediately understood. He snorted coldly and said, Tan Dong, the city lord and the others will arrive soon. I want to see what you will say in front of them. This city lord has heard your dispute clearly. This city lord feels that both sides are in the wrong. Both sides are in the wrong. At this moment, a deep voice came from the void. 3 divine kings landed on the city wall one after another. Then, City Lord Luan Xianhe, who was standing in the middle, said with a smile, Why don't we turn hostility into friendship and have a chat at the city lord's mansion? The city lord is wise. Hearing the city lord's words, the old divine king, Mo Yen, immediately bowed to city lord Luan Xianhe. Then, he looked at Tan Dong and snorted coldly. Shameless scoundrel, you are after someone else's sovereign divine weapon. How shameless. Then, the old divine king, Mo Yen, turned to Night Sorrow and said, Brother Night Sorrow, you used the sovereign divine weapon in your hands to eliminate more than 20 divine kings from the 7 territories. This is a great achievement for the divine realm. Let's enter the city and have a chat. The city lord will make a decision for you. After the old divine king, Mo Yen, finished speaking, Mo Zia also said, That's right. Don't have a problem with the divine realm because of one person. After all, the divine realm isn't a place where Tan Dong has the final say. Good. Very good. Each of your acting skills is better than the other. When Yi Shang saw everyone's reaction, he laughed coldly. Chapter 28:13. The people in the city acted well, but Night Sorrow, who cultivated the power of virtue and had the eye of the sea serpent, could clearly feel that everyone on the city wall was acting. Including the old divine king, Mo Yen, and Mo Zia, everyone was playing their role. They first let Tan Dong create trouble, then implicate the old divine king, Mo Yen, and Mo Zia, and let them be the peacemakers. Finally, City Lord Luan Xianhe appeared and invited Night Sorrow to the City Lord Mansion. If there were no accidents, the City Lord Mansion must have set up an inescapable net. Such preparations must have been made in advance. Obviously, the people of the divine world had used special methods to find out that Night Sorrow had taken care of the 7 territories. Until now, they still hadn't removed the defensive array in order to plot against Night Sorrow and obtain the sovereign divine weapon. Haha. You saw through it? Even if you saw through it, what's the use? City Lord Luan Xianhe, who originally had an easygoing smile, saw Night Sorrow's expression, and his tone became completely cold. What's the use? What's the use of trash like you who only know how to hide? Do you think that you are invincible just because you killed the divine king of the 7 territories? Before coming, Night Sorrow didn't expect the people of the divine world to be like this. He was very disappointed. City Lord Luan Xianhe looked at Night Sorrow and smiled. In terms of strength, the divine world with 5 divine kings is indeed stronger than you. Moreover, the 5 of us are of the same breath and branch, so we won't kill each other. You won't have the chance to reap the benefits. Then you can come out and fight. Facing the people of the divine world, Night Sorrow, who was standing outside the city, roared with confidence. He could feel that no one in the city was stronger than the Een Demon King. Even if they attacked together, he still had a chance. Haha. Fight? A divine lord against 5 divine kings? Do you think you have any hope in such a battle? Don't think that you are invincible just because you have a sovereign divine weapon. Let's kill. City Lord Luan Xianhe, who had already shed all pretense of cordiality, no longer had any scruples at this time as he roared out an order. Wait. City Lord, please calm down. At this moment, a calm voice was heard. Murong Yukong, who had been silent, spoke up. As the number 1 expert of the deity realm, he had the right to speak. After speaking, City Lord Luan Xianhe didn't say anything else. At this moment, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, Junior. We can make a deal. What deal? Night Sorrow looked at Murong Yukong. Murong Yukong's aura and divine domain were considered very ordinary among the higher divine king. However, the one in front of him was naturally the divine king. Killing is boring. We can make a deal and take what we need. Murong Yukong said with a fake smile. He then continued, if I'm not wrong, your identity is a challenger. As long as you leave the small world, you will be considered to have successfully passed the trial. Then, you will be able to obtain the reward left behind by the Lord. Am I right? That's right. Night Sorrow, who was looking at the city, replied noncommittally. Then this matter will be easy. The corners of Murong Yukong's mouth rose slightly as he said, hand over the ruler artifact, and we will tell you how to leave. What do you think? What do I think? I think you are shameless enough. If it weren't for me, you people would have already been annihilated by the 7 territories. Hearing Murong Yukong's words, Night Sorrow said angrily, it's fine if you don't know how to repay kindness, but you are even scheming for the ruler artifact. How can you be like this? Haha. We didn't ask you for help. You were the one who meddled in other people's business. What does it have to do with us? Murong Yukong's tone carried a trace of ridicule. After saying this, he coldly snorted, humph. I'll give you one last chance. Make a deal or die. Die? I think you are the ones who need to die. According to what you said, you should know how to leave this place. Very well, then I, Night Sorrow, will beat you into submission today and find a way out. Night Sorrow didn't show a trace of fear when facing the many divine king in the divine world territory. In his opinion, the other party was a shameless scoundrel without much ability. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been bullied to this extent by the 7 territories. Lord Night Sorrow, don't be careless. After all, they are the 5 divine kings. Their strength can't be underestimated. Seeing that Night Sorrow had no intention of retreating and was preparing to fight with the other party in front of the city, the Dragon Sparrow King in the Clear Sky Pagoda immediately advised. Seeing this, the Fire Phoenix King also said, "They have many people, and the Dragon Sparrow King and I can't help." Night Sorrow, don't be too impulsive. You don't understand. Providence exists between heaven and earth. They are holed up in the city, and their providence has been exhausted. Our momentum is like a rainbow. But if we retreat now, our providence will reverse. Night Sorrow stood quietly between heaven and earth. He was facing an entire city alone, and there were 5 divine king in the city, but he didn't retreat a single step. But in terms of strength, we don't have the advantage. The Dragon Sparrow King said worriedly. He knew that Night Sorrow couldn't use his power of virtue against the 5 divine king in the city. He might not be able to defeat them by relying on his battle strength and sovereign artifact. Don't worry, I will win. The inferior nature of the human cultivators is the key to our victory. Night Sorrow, who was holding the Samsara heavenly halberd, took the Tianyun bow off his back, pointed at the city, and shouted, "Who dares to fight with me? I don't want to talk to you, but you are still not done. Do you really think that you are invincible with a sovereign artifact in hand?" At this time, Tan Dong, who had been silent for a long time, shouted loudly and flew out of the city. See, this is the inferior nature of the human race. They have 5 divine king. If they attack together, it will be difficult for me to deal with them. But we are afraid of the sovereign artifact, so we don't have the courage to attack directly. So, we will find one to test them. Even if he is killed, there will be 4 left, and they can fight with me. But the one they sent can't force out the Tianyun bow at all. Night Sorrow looked at Tan Dong. Although the other party was a divine king, his actual battle strength was not enough to test his limits. Although he was only a divine lord, he was not someone that an ordinary divine king could defeat. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Dragon Sparrow King was convinced. Just as Lord Night Sorrow said, the human race has an inferior nature. It is not without reason that they are suppressed to this extent by the 7 territories. When Night Sorrow said this, Tan Dong had already stabbed out with his sword. The flying sword shadows looked like sparks falling from the sky. It was very beautiful. What's the use of being so flashy? Tan Dong, who was dressed in white, attacked with his sword shadows. Facing Night Sorrow, he directly used the Samsara heavenly halberd with his left hand and shot out a forbidden spear. What's the use? Of course, it is to kill you, a divine lord. Facing the divine king, you are not using your sovereign artifact. You are really reckless. Chapter 28:14. I don't need to use my sovereign artifact to deal with you. Facing Tan Dong's Night Sorrow, Tan Dong smiled noncommittally. At this moment, his forbidden spear had already ignored Tan Dong's sword rain and was heading straight for him. The power of reincarnation contained within the spear shocked Tan Dong. Although he had been warned that Night Sorrow's strength was not ordinary, he had still been careless and had not taken a divine lord seriously. Boom! Tan Dong's sword rain struck Night Sorrow, but these attacks were like embroidered pillows, pleasant to the eye but useless. They did not cause any damage at all. On the other hand, Yi Shan's forbidden spear sent Tan Dong flying. He slammed heavily into the defensive formation of the city. The divine world's defensive array shook violently from the impact, and the city walls shook. It took a while for it to calm down. What? He's so strong without using his sovereign artifact? They saw that Night Sorrow could actually use his body to block Tan Dong's attack and easily send him flying with a single blow. The 4 divine kings standing on the city walls were all shocked. Although he had only sent Tan Dong flying and did not threaten his life, the power contained within the attack was not compatible with his cultivation. His cultivation was only at the level of a high-level divine lord, but the power that erupted from his attack was at least at the level of a mid-level divine king. This was equivalent to a mid-level divine king or even a high-level divine king wielding a sovereign artifact. He was a great threat to every divine king present. If they wanted to snatch the sovereign artifact today, there would definitely be a divine king who would fall. This was not going to be easy. There were only 5 divine kings present, and none of them were willing to sacrifice themselves. When they fought, they would definitely save their strongest moves as a life-saving measure. You cowardly rats, let your imagination run wild. If we fight head-on, I might not be a match for you. But when it comes to putting your lives on the line, you're no match for him. When he attacked, Knight Sorrow deliberately revealed his true strength to intimidate the few divine king present. Human nature was selfish. When their lives were threatened, it was difficult for them to stay united. That was their chance. Damn you. Knight Sorrow had sent Tan Dong flying with a single move. After that, he did not even look at him, causing Tan Dong to immediately fly into a rage. After he got up, he roared and threw the sword in his hand at Knight Sorrow. The moment the sword appeared, a faint green light flickered on the blade. The green light was mixed with traces of black gas. Poisonous, extremely poisonous. Knight Sorrow observed with the sea serpent's eye and immediately discovered the poison contained in the sword. This kind of poison was different from ordinary poisons. Each black line was like a living worm, giving off an extremely evil feeling. Divine origin dragon locking formation. Just in case, Knight Sorrow did not dodge. Instead, he directly used his technique to bind the sword and the poisonous sword chi. Facing an opponent of Tan Dong's level, he did not want to escape. You are a cultivator of the divine realm, but your methods are even more evil than those of the foreign races. This is really an eye-opener. After binding the poisonous sword that Tan Dong shot out, he immediately used the Samsara halberd to attack with the forbidden reincarnation spear. The current taboo reincarnation spear had been continuously improved by Knight Sorrow, and its power was already extremely terrifying. Although it was no threat to super experts like the Demon King, using it to deal with Tan Dong was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. Knight Sorrow did not show any mercy when his opponent used such a ruthless move to deal with him. Not good. Attack, save him. The moment Knight Sorrow attacked with the forbidden reincarnation spear, City Lord Luan Xinhe immediately shouted. Junior, stop. When Luan Xinhe shouted, Murong Yukong, who was beside him, had already moved. Obviously, Murong Yukong was stronger. You won't make it in time. At this moment, Knight Sorrow ruthlessly stabbed the forbidden reincarnation spear into Tan Dong's body. This spear directly pierced through Tan Dong's dantian. When Murong Yukong rushed over, he directly shattered Tan Dong's deity C. The 5 divine king in front of him were scheming for the ruler artifact. Knight Sorrow did not show any mercy, but he understood that it was a woman's benevolence. Little bastard, you deserve to die. Murong Yukong immediately roared when he saw Knight Sorrow killing Tan Dong. Then, he struck out with his palm. This palm attack came from all directions. It was as if the entire sky was pressing down. It seems that I have overestimated you. Knight Sorrow couldn't help but shake his head when he saw Murong Yukong's attack. He originally thought that Murong Yukong's strength would not be too far from the Demon King's, even if it wasn't. However, the truth was that Murong Yukong was far weaker than the Demon King. Forbidden Spear. Facing Murong Yukong's palm attack, Knight Sorrow once again used the Forbidden Spear. This time, he used the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique to raise his strength to the limit. This move again? Do you think that I'm a piece of trash like Tan Dong? Murong Yukong couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Knight Sorrow was actually using the same move against him that he had used against Tan Dong. You're not Tan Dong, but you're also trash. After using the Forbidden Spear, Knight Sorrow had no intention of dodging Murong Yukong's attack. He used the Forbidden Spear because he wanted to test Murong Yukong's strength. Boom! Both of their moves collided. The result stunned everyone present. Murom Yukong, the strongest person in the divine realm, had actually been smashed into the city's defensive array by Yishang, just like Tan Dong. How is this possible? City Lord Luan Xianhe, who had already flown out of the city, stopped in the void as if he had been struck by lightning. Pfft! Murom Yukong, who had been sent flying, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Since we've already shed all pretense of cordiality, everyone, attack. I don't believe that this little bastard can destroy the entire divine world city. Murom Yukong, who had been sent flying, discovered that Knight Soro's strength was stronger than he had expected. From the looks of it, he might not even be Knight Soro's opponent in a one-on-one fight. He flew into a rage and immediately issued a command. Divine World Army, set up the formation. City Lord Luan Xianhe, who was floating in the void, immediately roared. He didn't let the Divine World Army attack directly. Instead, he let them set up the formation and use the formation as a sacrifice for him to absorb. Roar! In the Divine World City, tens of millions of cultivators sacrificed their strength for City Lord Luan Xianhe to absorb. Luan Xianhe, who was originally weaker than Murom Yukong, had his strength rapidly increase in an instant. Although his divine domain and aura weren't as tyrannical as the Een Demon King's, he was almost on par with Wan Nu. He's not as strong as I expected, but you're much stronger than what I saw. Your combined strength is indeed above mine. Chapter 28:15. However, Tan Dong had already been killed, and only 4 Divine King were left on the other side. Those below the Divine King realm, who knew that words were law, would definitely not be sent out. Knight Soro felt that with Tian Yunbao's help, he could definitely put up a fight against the 4 Divine King. There was no need to escape. Moreover, City Lord Luan Xianhe and the others should know the way to leave the trial. He had to take them down. Do you think you can see through us with just a few glances? What a joke. City Lord Luan Xianhe's voice trembled after his strength increased. After saying that, he transmitted his voice, everyone, attack together. Don't show any mercy. Try not to give him a chance to use the sovereign divine artifact. Yes, City Lord. Vice City Lord Ling Fian responded immediately after hearing Luan Xianhe's words. Old Divine King Mo Yen also released a murderous aura. He originally looked very ordinary, but after releasing his murderous aura and divine domain, he immediately changed. Although his face was still old, he gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. Being stared at by him was like being locked on by a poisonous snake. As for Murom Yukong, he didn't say anything. However, his gaze towards City Lord Luan Xianhe contained a trace of unwillingness. He was the foundation of the Divine Realm cities and was originally the strongest. Even City Lord Luan Xianhe wasn't his match. However, after the Divine Realm retreated to this place, Luan Xianhe suddenly learned how to absorb other people's energy. After increasing his strength, he would become very terrifying. Murom Yukong, who was originally very arrogant, didn't dare to underestimate City Lord Luan Xianhe even though he wasn't humble. Come at me together. I'll see who I'll kill first. Knight Soro checked the 4 Divine King with his divine soul power. He was sure that Luan Xianhe was the strongest. However, Murom Yukong couldn't be underestimated either. Although he had a certain advantage in the previous exchange, the other party might have some special means. As for old Divine King Mo Yen and Vice City Lord Ling Fian, they also looked very dangerous, but they shouldn't be a big threat. Set up the formation. At this moment, Knight Soro heard a voice that surprised him. The moment they were about to take action, City Lord Luan Xianhe ordered the other Divine King to participate in setting up the array. Then, the 4 Divine Kings formed a very special joint attack in 4 different directions. I thought it was a formation, but it turns out to be a combination attack. Knight Soro smiled when he saw the reaction of Luan Xianhe and the others. How was this an array formation? Luan Xianhe's shouting was a bit exaggerated. So what if it's a combination technique? It's fine as long as I can kill you. When the Vice City Lord, Ling Fian, heard Night Sorrow's words, she snorted coldly and took the initiative to stab with her spear. Night Sorrow smiled and countered with his samsara halberd. However, even though Night Sorrow easily blocked Ling Fian's attack, the old Divine King Mo Yan's attack came right after. He took out the soft sword from his waist and attacked Night Sorrow as well. At the same time, City Lord Luan Xianhe and Murong Yukong also attacked at the same time. The four of them cooperated very well, and it was clearly not their first time working together. Nice move. Night Sorrow exclaimed after seeing the other party's moves. He then used the dragon swimming steps to leave the battlefield without tangling with Ling Fian. He knew the other party's combination technique, and it was not good to fight with brute force. After putting some distance between them, Night Sorrow transformed the samsara halberd into an arrow and shot it at Ling Fian. The attack of the Dominator Divine Artifact. Ling Fian panicked when she saw Night Sorrow use the Dominator Divine Artifact. At this moment, City Lord Luan Xianhe reminded her, he's just a Sir God. Even if he uses the Dominator Divine Artifact, it shouldn't be that scary. Yes, City Lord. Ling Fian responded and blocked the attack. Luan Xianhe and Murong Yukong also helped to block the attack. To them, the Dominator Divine Artifact Tian Yun Bao was a completely new thing. They had never resisted it before, so they chose to treat it seriously right away. Under the combined efforts of the four Divine Monarchs, the samsara halberd that Night Sorrow shot out was successfully blocked, but it didn't have much of an effect. Haha. So the Dominator Divine Artifact can only unleash an attack of average strength in the hands of a Sir God. Luan Xianhe, who had helped to neutralize Tian Yun Bao's attack, laughed disdainfully. The energy of the Divine Realm is mine. At this moment, Luan Xianhe suddenly roared and started to absorb the Divine Realm's origin energy. After absorbing the Divine Realm's origin energy, Luan Xianhe, who had already absorbed the energy of countless cultivators, suddenly became even stronger. The aura he exuded was vaguely close to that of the Een Demon King. This kind of strength was already extremely powerful among the Divine Kings. Ordinary upper-level Divine Kings would not be able to resist at all. The feeling of absorbing energy is so comfortable. After absorbing a portion of the origin energy, Luan Xianhe's face revealed an intoxicated expression. Go to hell. After increasing his strength again, Luan Xianhe looked at Night Sorrow with obvious contempt. At the same time, he directly threw the City Lord token in his hand at Night Sorrow. It was unknown what material this City Lord token was made of, but it was extremely hard. Night Sorrow, who could summon the samsara halberd, used the halberd to resist, and intense sparks burst forth. Clearly, its grade was not lower than the samsara halberd. It was at least a half-step dominator. It was very impressive. Moreover, this token gave off a very special feeling. When Night Sorrow fought against it, it felt like he was fighting against the great Tao of heaven and earth. He felt like he was rebelling, and it was very uncomfortable. What's going on? Why is this token so special? Night Sorrow had the power of merit, and he fought with everyone openly. He had never felt like this before. What? Have you realized that you are a rebel and that we are the orthodox of the deity world? City Lord Luan Xianhe, who had used the token to attack Night Sorrow, revealed a trace of pride between his brows. Just as he laughed, Night Sorrow was shocked to find that his samsara halberd had been petrified. After being petrified, Night Sorrow felt that the samsara halberd had become as weak as a rock. He could not use it at all. What's going on? The token in his hand is really mysterious. At this thought, Night Sorrow had an idea. He thought to himself, could this token be left behind by Supreme Ancestor Phoenix? He felt that if it was not left behind by Supreme Ancestor Phoenix, it would not be so mysterious. He doesn't even have any arrows in his hand. It's useless even if he has a Dominator Divine weapon. Everyone, attack. Quickly kill him. City Lord Luan Xianhe immediately gave the order to kill when he saw that Night Sorrow's samsara halberd had been temporarily petrified and that he had no arrows. No arrows? Yi Shang chuckled when he heard this. Chapter 28:16. Although the power of merit was not as effective against divine realm cultivators as it was against dark creatures, it could still be used. However, it was still capable of being used to attack. It was not inferior to an ordinary king-tier arrow. The moment the virtuous 5 elemental arrow was shot out, Yishang performed the divine essence dragon lock spell at the same time, binding the Vice City Lord Ling Fian within it. The dragon lock formation was basically useless against an elite like the Een Demon King. However, Ling Fian clearly did not have that kind of strength and reaction time. She was bound and directly hit by the 5 elemental arrow. Buzz! The entire void shook. Ling Fian did not even have time to attack before she was killed in an instant. Divine realm cultivators are so much weaker than the divine king of the 7 territories. Knight Sorrow, who thought that he could only severely injure Ling Fian and not kill her, could not help but sigh. Whether it was in terms of ferocity or actual combat strength, the divine realm territories were much weaker than the 7 territories. It was not wrong for them to be suppressed so badly. How could you be so ruthless? Seeing that Knight Sorrow had killed Ling Fian in an instant, Luan Xianhe's face was filled with resentment. You wanted to kill me and take the Dominator divine weapon. Naturally, I will not show mercy to you. Knight Sorrow, who was replying, suddenly felt his pupils constrict. When Luan Xianhe scolded him, he suddenly felt a chill behind him. His second godly soul scanned and realized that it was the old divine king, Mo Yen, who used a secret technique to sneak into the void and threw out a divine talisman when he was unprepared. When the old divine king, Mo Yen, appeared on the wall, he looked like he had just barely reached the level of the divine king. Now, the aura he released was infinitely close to that of an upper-level divine king. The divine talisman he threw out was at the half-step dominator level. It was extremely destructive. I didn't expect that you people are not only hypocritical, but also vicious. When the old divine king threw out the half-step dominator level divine talisman, Luan Xianhe and Murong Yukong moved at the same time. It had to be said that the 3 of them cooperated very well. In that instant, Knight Sorrow felt like he couldn't even take care of himself. Lord Knight Sorrow, be careful. Dragon Sparrow King, who was in the spatial artifact, was quite depressed. However, being anxious was of no help. Yes. Be careful. The Fire Phoenix King by the side was also the same. She wished that she could immediately fly out of the vast heaven pagoda and fight alongside Knight Sorrow. If nothing unexpected happened, Knight Sorrow only needed to defeat the 3 divine king in front of him to pass the trial. Dragon Sparrow King and Fire Phoenix King were so nervous that their bodies were trembling. Don't worry. Yishang, who was being sandwiched by 3 people, suddenly calmed down. He used his second god's soul to control a portion of his divine origin energy and used the divine origin dragon locking formation to lock down the half-step sovereign rank formation. He used his first divine soul to execute the virtuous dragon locking array and locked onto Murong Yukong's attack. At the same time, he held the Tianyun Bao and slammed it towards City Lord Luan Xianhe. He thought, I don't believe that your token can also petrify Tianyun Bao. Thinking of the Samsara heavenly halberd being petrified, Knight Sorrow, whose anger rose in his heart, wanted to use the Tianyun Bao to directly smash the token in the other party's hand. What a vicious little bastard. City Lord Luan Xianhe, who used the mysterious token to smash Knight Sorrow, immediately raised his eyebrows when he saw that Knight Sorrow was using the Tianyun Bao as a close-range divine artifact. He was prepared to directly take back the mysterious token, but Knight Sorrow's speed was very fast and didn't give him a chance to do so. He used the Tianyun Bao to smash the token. With a clang, the mysterious token lost control and flew to the ground. Oh. Is my City Lord's token alright? After that, Luan Xianhe, who originally thought that the token would be smashed by Tianyun Bao, immediately shouted in surprise after recalling the token. His token actually didn't shatter when it collided with the Tianyun Bao. Whether it was Luan Xianhe, Mo Yen, or Murong Yukong, all raised their eyebrows. Murong Yukong guessed, could it be that the token is a ruler divine artifact? It just hasn't been activated yet? Yes. It took a direct hit from a ruler divine artifact without any damage. The token is definitely a ruler divine artifact. The old divine king and Mo Yen also speculated in surprise. In fact, they weren't the only ones. Knight Sorrow also had the same suspicion. He speculated that even if the token wasn't of the ruler grade, it was still made of the ruler grade material. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to withstand Tianyun Bao's attack without any damage. This isn't good news. While Knight Sorrow thought to himself, he couldn't help but think of a way to deal with it. If Luan Xianhe could think of a way to activate the token into a ruler divine artifact, then he could only think of a way to escape. This was something that Knight Sorrow wasn't willing to accept. What the hell is going on? Lord Ancestor Phoenix actually left a ruler divine artifact in the checkpoint. How are we going to deal with it? Seeing the situation outside, the Dragon Sparrow King felt his entire heart in a knot, and his brows furrowed. The Fire Phoenix King's expression was also very ugly. If Knight Sorrow failed, they would definitely be sent back to the small world that they used to live in. Big Brother Knight Sorrow, do your best. Quickly defeat them. Cao Ling, who was at the side, sent a voice transmission to Knight Sorrow to cheer him on. Quickly defeat them? Hearing Cao Ling's words, Knight Sorrow suddenly had an idea and thought to himself, yes. Quickly, quickly. Don't give them a chance to study the token. Thinking of this, Knight Sorrow immediately poured his blood into Tianyun Bao, completely activating it. The activated Tianyun Bao let out a buzzing sound. After Tianyun Bao was activated, Knight Sorrow didn't shoot the arrow of virtue. Instead, he chose to attack at close range again. Knight Sorrow used the profound heaven-roaming dragon steps to attack Luan Xianhe. Seeing Knight Sorrow use his blood to activate Tianyun Bao, Luan Xianhe's eyes immediately flickered with a fiery light. He coldly snorted and said, "The two of you, help me block him. This city lord seems to have found a way to activate the token. All right. The two of us will do our best to block him." The old divine king, Mo Yen, revealed a sinister smile. Murong Yukong coldly said, "You are still too inexperienced." At the same time, he used his attack to block Knight Sorrow, who was attacking Luan Xianhe. In his opinion, Knight Sorrow shouldn't have used his blood to activate Tianyun Bao in front of them, because this would give Luan Xianhe the idea to activate the ruler artifact. Am I inexperienced, or are you guys inexperienced? Do you really think you can stop me? Hearing Murong Yukong's words, Knight Sorrow's face revealed a trace of a smile. He suddenly roared out soft dragon roar. This time, he had fused the two souls together to cast the spell. Murong Yukong, who was completely focused on Tianyun Bao, didn't react at all before his spirit sea was shattered by the soft dragon roar. What a powerful spirit attack! Murong Yukong, who only just reacted at this moment, immediately began to shrink his pupils. At this moment, Luan Xianhe was trying to use his blood to activate the City Lord token, and the old divine king, Mo Yen, wasn't fast enough to save him. Chapter 28:17. Murong Yukong, whose soul had been severely injured by soft dragon roar, could still think for a moment, but his entire body seemed to have been paralyzed. Facing Knight Sorrow's Tianyun Bao, he had no ability to dodge at all. With City Lord Luan Xianhe and the old divine king Mo Yen helping him, he was directly smashed into pieces by Tianyun Bao. "City Lord, what should we do?" Seeing that Murong Yukong's soul had been destroyed by Knight Sorrow's attack, the old divine king Mo Yen immediately panicked. Originally, they had 5 divine kings, but now, only he and City Lord Luan Xianhe were left. The scales of strength had completely tilted. Murong Yukong has been coveting my position for a long time. So what if he's dead? As long as I figure out the mysteries of the ruler artifact, he definitely won't be my match. Let's think of a way to escape back to the city. City Lord Luan Xianhe transmitted his voice to the old divine king Mo Yen and actually flew in the direction of the city. Even Knight Sorrow didn't expect City Lord Luan Xianhe to make such a choice. It was too late to chase after him. At this moment, Night Sorrow's gaze locked onto the old divine king Mo Yen. Mo Yen was the same as him, unable to react at all. Don't kill me. After facing Night Sorrow alone, the old divine king Mo Yen immediately panicked. He immediately begged for mercy. If I don't kill you, will I let you cooperate with City Lord Wanxianhe to kill me? Night Sorrow didn't immediately attack. He looked coldly at Mo Yen and asked in return. I can rely on you and work for you. Heavenly oath, I can make a heavenly oath. The old god king Mo Yen said while bowing and groveling. City Lord Wanxianhe had discovered that the City Lord token was suspected to be a ruler artifact, so he had ignored him and fled back to the city. This made Mo Yen very angry. While he was angry, he, who was facing Night Sorrow and the ruler artifact alone, was terrified. I'll ask you a few questions. If your answers satisfy me, I'll accept you. Otherwise, you'll end up like everyone else. Yi Shang said coldly. Then he asked, tell me how to leave this place. If you want to leave this place, which means you'll have to pass the trial, you'll need the City Lord's token. Use it to activate the City Lord's mansion's formation. The old divine king Mo Yen cupped his fists respectfully and replied. So that City Lord token has such an important function. Fortunately, it's sturdy enough. Otherwise, I would have smashed it with the Tianyun Bao. Hearing the old divine king Mo Yan's words, Night Sorrow felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, the City Lord token was sturdy enough. Yes. That City Lord token is something that Milord left behind. Not only is it the key to leave, but it can also control everything in the city. Mo Yen spoke again, if you want to leave, you have to find a way to get the City Lord token. Tell me about the situation in the city, as well as the distribution of the formations, Yi Shang continued. Night Sorrow was quite satisfied with the old divine king Mo Yan's explanation and didn't attack him anymore. Mo Yen could sense that Night Sorrow's killing intent was gradually weakening, and his expression relaxed a little. He said, the defensive formation is the Black Tortoise Grand Guardian formation. As for the city, there's a killing formation whose name I don't know, but it's extremely terrifying. As for the city, there are no other divine king. Black Tortoise Grand Guardian formation? How can this formation be broken? Night Sorrow asked. The City Lord token was the key to passing the trial, and it might be a ruler's artifact. He didn't want to give City Lord Wanxianhe too much time to research it. He wanted to break the formation as soon as possible. The key to breaking the formation is the City Lord token in Wanxianhe's hands. It's very difficult to use other methods to break the formation. Otherwise, the 7 territories wouldn't have been able to break the formation after so many years, Mo Yen explained. If I hadn't appeared, they would have already broken the formation. However, I can't do the same thing as them. The 7 territories had to use the power of the 7 origins to break the formation. Although Night Sorrow had Tianyun Bao, he couldn't do that. Other than that, we can only wait for Wanxianhe to come out himself, Mo Yen said. I'm quite satisfied with your answer. Make the oath. After that, Night Sorrow asked the old divine king Mo Yen some more. After obtaining more useful information, he gave him a chance to make the oath. Okay. I, Mo Yen, swear that from now on. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the old divine king Mo Yen made the heavenly Tao oath. At this moment, Night Sorrow opened the sea serpent eye and looked at Mo Yen for a while. You clearly don't look like an old man. Why did you disguise yourself like this? Lord Night Sorrow, you saw through it? Mo Yen, who had already made an oath to join Night Sorrow, heard Night Sorrow's question. He immediately tore off a mask from his face and said, "This is one of the best masks in the world. I didn't expect Lord Night Sorrow to see through it." After tearing off the mask, Mo Yen instantly changed from an old man to an extremely handsome man. It seemed that he was no longer the so-called old divine king. What a handsome man. Although the Dragon Sparrow King in the Clear Heaven Pagoda was a male cultivator, he couldn't help but exclaim when he saw Mo Yan's face. Mo Yan's face was too handsome. It could be described as devastatingly beautiful. It's just skin. In the world of cultivators, strength still speaks. It's useless to be good-looking. Although Fire Phoenix was a female cultivator, her reaction was extremely cold. How delightful. Dragon Sparrow King smiled, and then he sent a voice transmission to Yishang. Lord Yishang, I have an idea. What idea? Tell me. Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Dragon Sparrow King. Didn't Lord Night Sorrow want to enter the city? You can use this mask as a disguise and enter with Mo Yan's identity. Dragon Sparrow King continued to send a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. After he finished speaking, he explained, as long as the aura is disguised well, even Luan Xinhe won't be able to find any clues. The idea is good, but Luan Xinhe threw Mo Yan outside. This is considered a falling out. If I pretend to be Mo Yan, he won't believe me. After all, in his opinion, if Mo Yan isn't, then he must have already joined me. Night Sorrow said. He felt that Dragon Sparrow King's suggestion was somewhat interesting. However, it wouldn't be easy to realize because Luan Xinhe was definitely not a fool. Some things would be understood after some thought. Following that, Night Sorrow, Dragon Sparrow King, and Fire Phoenix King secretly studied it and felt that this method didn't make sense. Because when Mo Yan faced him, other than surrendering, there was no way for him to escape unscathed. Night Sorrow didn't understand at all and asked Mo Yan, if I use your mask and pretend to be you, can I sneak into the city? Pretend to be my old divine king? Mo Yan pondered for a moment and continued, logically speaking, Luan Xinhe isn't that stupid and won't be fooled so easily. However, this matter is indeed possible. Chapter 28:18. If Luan Xinhe manages to figure out the secret of the city leader's token, he will not allow anyone to enter. Hence, he will not open the teleportation array. Mo Yan said firmly before he continued, however, there are other ways to enter the city. Don't keep me in suspense. Tell me what is going on. Night Sorrow scolded Mo Yan as he was trying to show off. Hearing this, Mo Yan immediately replied fearfully, it's like this. The teleportation array in the city will not be opened. There is another way to enter the city. That is through a teleportation array. This is a secret that even Luan Xinhe does not know about. However, I happen to know about it. Oh. You can enter the city through the teleportation array? Night Sorrow asked curiously. Yes. This teleportation array is located in the main city of the realm of the gods. It has been destroyed. However, as long as it is repaired, you can enter the city. Mo Yan explained and continued, the main city is located in the heavenly diabolism territory. I know where it is. Bring me there. Night Sorrow said immediately after hearing Mo Yan's words. Yes, Lord Night Sorrow. Mo Yan, who had returned to his original appearance, had disguised his voice as an old man when he spoke. Now, he was slowly recovering. Following Mo Yan's lead, Night Sorrow arrived at the main city of the realm of the gods. At this time, the 7 origins of the heavenly diabolism territory had all been destroyed. There were no more powerful creatures in the heavenly diabolism territory. Night Sorrow did not kill these evil creatures. When he arrived at the teleportation array, he realized that it was not too badly damaged. However, the heavenly diabolism tribe had not repaired it. In the next few days, Night Sorrow and Mo Yan searched for materials to repair the teleportation array in the small world. Finally, after 7 days, the teleportation array was successfully repaired. Although the teleportation array has been repaired, you have to confirm your identity before you can enter it. Therefore, Lord Night Sorrow, you have to disguise yourself as the old me. Mo Yan said immediately after the teleportation array was repaired. All right. Cooperate with me. Night Sorrow understood Mo Yan's intentions and wanted his help. In the end, his face, figure, and aura were all transformed into his former appearance. He should be able to pass the test. After helping Night Sorrow dress up, Mo Yen looked around confidently and said, "This teleportation formation will teleport you to the City Lord's mansion." "Lord Night Sorrow, this is all I can help you with. You've done well enough. Wait for my news," Night Sorrow said. Although Mo Yen had pledged allegiance to him, he was not prepared to let him help him fight against Luan Xianhe. After all, he had worked with Luan Xianhe for many years. "Good. Mo Yen will wait here for Lord Night Sorrow." Mo Yen understood what Night Sorrow meant and nodded gratefully. Then, Night Sorrow activated the teleportation portal under Mo Yan's watchful gaze. A moment later, Night Sorrow appeared in a spacious hall. After adapting for a while, Night Sorrow discovered that there were no arrays in the hall. He immediately began to look for the exit. Walking out of the hall, Night Sorrow discovered that he had indeed appeared in the city. However, it was not like Mo Yen said, appearing in the City Lord's mansion. The atmosphere in the city at this time was rather heavy. There were very few cultivators on the streets, and most of them were at the Feather God realm. Those with stronger strength might have all had their energy absorbed by Luan Xianhe and are recuperating. Seeing the safe situation, Night Sorrow quickly reacted to what was going on. Ignoring these, he immediately used Divine Soul Power to investigate. After finding the City Lord's mansion, he immediately rushed over. Arriving in front of the City Lord's mansion, Night Sorrow discovered that there were no guards in front of the City Lord's mansion. Could it be that all the guards' energy was absorbed? In the process of walking in, Night Sorrow muttered doubtfully. The Fire Phoenix King in the vast heaven pagoda also said curiously, "The City Lord's mansion that is like a group of palaces actually doesn't have a single guard. This is indeed a little strange. It is a little strange. Wait for me to investigate properly." Standing outside the City Lord's mansion, Night Sorrow did not enter immediately. Instead, he once again unleashed Divine Soul Power and investigated. With this investigation, Night Sorrow was even more puzzled. There was actually no one in the City Lord's mansion. Could it be that the City Lord's mansion has an illusory formation? Thinking up to here, while Night Sorrow used Divine Soul to investigate, he opened the sea serpent's eye and observed carefully. Looking like this, he indeed discovered an illusory formation. After breaking the illusory formation, Night Sorrow immediately entered a hidden space. Just entering the hidden space, Night Sorrow smelled a very thick smell of blood. In front of him were 9 tall stone doors. What's the situation? Such a strong smell of blood. The Night Sorrow who opened the sea serpent's eye could not see through the stone doors, but he could smell the smell of blood coming from the tall stone doors. He immediately flew in front of one of the stone doors and smashed the stone door with a palm. With a bang, the stone door suddenly collapsed. The Night Sorrow who saw the scene before him clearly immediately frowned. While the Fire Phoenix King in the vast heaven pagoda covered Cao Ling-er's eyes. Behind the stone doors were actually the skeletons of 10 million people. On these skeletons, there was some flesh remaining, but the vast majority of the flesh already disappeared. The blood on the skeletons had not flowed dry yet. Clearly, the time of their death was not too long ago. Could it be that it was City Lord, Luan Xianhe, who did these things? Taking in the tragic situation before his eyes, Night Sorrow immediately flew into a rage. He roared, "Luan Xianhe, you come out for me." When Night Sorrow roared these words, he directly shook off the mask on his face, recovering to his original appearance. However, after Night Sorrow roared, Luan Xianhe did not appear. He checked all the stone doors in front of him one by one and discovered that the tragic scene inside each stone door was the same. The number of dead cultivators could be at least 20 million. Their strength was mostly at the high deity level, and there were even some who were divine lord level. Deranged, this is really deranged. Taking in the tragic situation before his eyes, even the Dragon Sparrow King in the vast heaven pagoda could not resist cursing out. The Fire Phoenix King who covered Cao Ling-er's eyes also had anger surging on her face as she said, "When divine realm cultivators become evil, they are simply even more terrifying than foreign races. The one who did this must be Yuan Xianhe. The others do not have this kind of ability. Knight Sorrow finished inspecting the stone doors in front of him, judged for a bit, and continued, doing such an evil thing, there must be a motive. At this time, Yuan Xianhe's strength must have increased substantially. But no matter how strong he is, I will directly kill him. Walking out of this hidden small world, Knight Sorrow started to continue searching for Yuan Xianhe in the city. Except, virtually searching the entire city, he also did not find the other party's figure. Chapter 28:19. I think it's very likely that there's a secret room in the city lord's mansion. He plundered so many people's flesh and blood, it's impossible for him to. Seeing Knight Sorrow's worry, the Fire Phoenix King in the Clear Sky Pagoda said. Although she came from the Phoenix clan and didn't care much about life and death, Yuan Xianhe's evil act of plundering thousands of people's flesh and blood still made her very uncomfortable. It's very likely. Ancestor Phoenix asked Yuan Xianhe to guard this small world. It's impossible for him to use the token to leave this small world. Otherwise, this would be child's play. After the Fire Phoenix King spoke, Knight Sorrow calmed down and judged. That's right. How wise is Ancestor Phoenix? How could he make such a low-level mistake? In my opinion, Yuan Xianhe must be hiding somewhere. Dragon Sparrow King also spoke his thoughts. Ancestor Phoenix was an existence that surpassed the ruler and stood above the entire divine realm. It was impossible for him to give Yuan Xianhe the chance to steal. The problem now is how to find Yuan Xianhe, seize the token, and find the place to leave this world. After thinking quietly for a while, Knight Sorrow said. At this point, Knight Sorrow's eyes suddenly lit up and said, I understand. Yuan Xianhe is not in the city in front of us. Oh. What do you mean? Dragon Sparrow King immediately asked in puzzlement. The territory of the divine realm was originally very big. Even the original main city is not here. Many important places are probably not in this city. Yuan Xianhe must have gone to other important areas. Knight Sorrow, who was following his train of thought, voiced out his conjecture. Dragon Sparrow King and Fire Phoenix King heard Knight Sorrow's speculation and felt that it was very reasonable. Fire Phoenix King asked, then where are we going to find him? Of course, we'll teleport back to the main city. After seeing Mo Yen, we'll ask him about the important places in the divine realm. Knight Sorrow said and brought the Clear Sky Pagoda back to the teleportation array. He used the divine crystal to teleport back to the main city of the divine realm. Mo Yen, Yuan Xianhe didn't appear, right? Knight Sorrow asked in a deep voice when he saw Mo Yen waiting near the teleportation array. Nope. Does Lord Knight Sorrow mean that Yuan Xianhe is not in the city? Mo Yen asked in confusion when he heard Knight Sorrow's question. Yes. I didn't find Yuan Xianhe in the city. But I saw the millions of cultivators whose flesh and blood he plundered. After Knight Sorrow said ruthlessly, he looked at Mo Yen and said, there are still some important places in this small world. Quickly bring me there. I suspect that Yuan Xianhe is cultivating somewhere and is plotting something. Let me think. After Mo Yen finished speaking, he pondered for a while and speculated. According to what Lord Knight Sorrow said, I'm guessing that Yuan Xianhe is most likely ascending to the place of ascension to search for the secret of the city lord token. Land of Ascension? Where is that? Upon hearing this unfamiliar name, Knight Sorrow asked. The so-called place of ascension is actually the place where the challenger uses the token to leave this world. At this point, Mo Yen apologized. Actually, I should have thought of that long ago. After he finished speaking, he immediately brought Knight Sorrow to the place of ascension. When they were close to the place of ascension, Mo Yen reminded, Yuan Xianhe is most likely up ahead. We have to be careful. All right. I will be careful. You be careful too. If you encounter him and don't want to fight, just leave. After Knight Sorrow said that, he flew toward the place of ascension. If I encounter him, I will fight alongside Lord Knight Sorrow. Mo Yen sighed and said. He did not have a good impression of Luan Xianhe. On the way here, he had heard that Luan Xianhe had plundered flesh and blood. Immediately, he was determined to fight. When he was following Luan Xianhe, Mo Yen did not have any thoughts about doing evil. However, after swearing to follow Night's Sorrow, he felt different. It was as if he had been purified by the power of merit. All right. Then we will fight side by side. As long as we defeat Luan Xianhe and obtain the City Lord token, I will bring you out of this world and return to the real realm of the gods. After Night's Sorrow finished speaking, he did not say anything else and quickly headed toward the place of ascension. After getting closer, Night's Sorrow saw a broken bridge that reached into the clouds. At the furthest end of the broken bridge, where the bridge was broken, a figure reeking of blood was sitting cross-legged on the ground. The City Lord token was floating above his palms. Luan Xianhe, it's him. As expected, he reeks of blood. Seeing Luan Xianhe's figure, Mo Yen immediately recognized him. Sensing the bloody stench on his body, Mo Yan's brows furrowed in anger. After all, in the city, there were soldiers who had fought side by side with them. Now, almost all of them had been devoured by Luan Xianhe and turned into skeletons. Get ready for battle. I will fight him. You just need to wait for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. During the battle with the 5 Divine King, Night's Sorrow had experienced some of Mo Yan's techniques and knew that he was good at sneak attacks. After giving these instructions, he took off the Tianyun bow from his back and prepared to shoot an arrow of virtue at Luan Xianhe. The current Luan Xianhe, who had slaughtered tens of millions of people, had completely turned into a demon. His body was surrounded by a sea of blood and was almost like a dark evil creature. He was greatly affected by the power of virtue. Kiki. You are finally here. Luan Xianhe, who had his back to Night's Sorrow and Mo Yen, said in a hoarse voice and turned around. Seeing Luan Xianhe's current appearance, both Night's Sorrow and Mo Yen were immediately surprised. At this moment, Luan Xianhe's face was completely devoid of flesh and blood. He looked like a skeleton. How did you end up like this? Mo Yen asked in astonishment when he saw Luan Xianhe's appearance. Naturally, I poured all my flesh and blood into the City Lord token. Not only me, but all the cultivators above the high god level and the divine realm have their flesh and blood absorbed by the City Lord token. When Luan Xianhe held up the City Lord token, one could see that his arm was devoid of flesh and blood. It looked very horrifying. At this moment, Night's Sorrow and Mo Yen completely sensed that the strong smell of blood came from the City Lord token. At this moment, the City Lord token was no longer golden, but transparent blood red. The strong smell of blood made one's heart palpitate. Luan Xianhe. You actually sacrificed the entire divine realm for a City Lord token. You are simply crazy. Hearing Luan Xianhe's words, Mo Yan's eyes were about to split open. Luan Xianhe's actions were simply outrageous and went against the laws of nature. Deranged? That's right, he was insane. But it was worth it, all of it was worth it. Luan Xianhe replied with a dry and hoarse voice, and then laughed wildly, because I've completely figured out the secrets of the City Lord medallion. The two of you, prepare to become its next sacrifice. Chapter 28-20. Do you think that after absorbing so much flesh and blood, the token in your hand can truly become a sovereign artifact? When Luan Xianhe threw the City Lord token at Night's Sorrow, it erupted with shocking blood energy and terrifying energy. However, Night's Sorrow could clearly sense that although the power of the City Lord token was terrifying, it was clearly not at the sovereign level. He immediately used the Tianyun bow to block it. The City Lord token was still undamaged after being hit by the Tianyun bow, but Night's Sorrow successfully repelled it and sent it flying far away. Buzz! However, just after Night's Sorrow used the City Lord token, a terrifying tremor came from his arm. The terrifying tremor brought with it a huge impact. If it was an ordinary divine king, his arms would have been directly shattered. Only Night Sorrow's body was strong enough to withstand it, but he still suffered some injuries. Humph. I didn't expect you to have some ability. Your body is stronger than most divine kings. You're a talent, but you're blocking my path. You'll be killed today. Luan Xianhe, who withdrew the City Lord token and saw that Night Sorrow was not injured, was very surprised, and coldly ridiculed him. Bastard, die. At this moment, Mo Yen, who had silently sneaked into the void, suddenly stabbed at Luan Xianhe. Mo Yan's sword seemed to come from the depths of the void, and it was impossible to determine its direction. Humph, ant. However, Luan Xianhe did not care about this attack at all. He threw out the City Lord token again. The sword hidden in the void was immediately sucked over by the City Lord token. With a clang, there was a crisp sound. An instant later, the sword turned into a stone sword, and Luan Xianhe used his bone palm to lightly slap it, completely shattering it. The City Lord token can be used like this. Seeing Luan Xianhe shatter his sword, Mo Yen, who was about to launch a sneak attack, immediately gave up on the idea and sneaked back into the void. This is one of the secrets that this City Lord discovered using flesh and blood. Mo Yen, an ant like you should obediently lie down. As for you, go to hell. Luan Xianhe had clearly gone completely mad. As soon as he finished speaking, he threw the City Lord's token at Night Sorrow again. This time, the City Lord token released a boundless murderous aura and blood that filled the sky. It was as if it wanted to use a surging sea of blood to devour Night Sorrow. It already has the aura of a sovereign, but it's still far from being a true sovereign-grade artifact. Night Sorrow, who was holding the Tianyun Bao, faced Luan Xianhe's attack. While he was surprised, he immediately shot 5 element arrows at the sea of blood. When the arrow of virtue shot out, the dense power of virtue immediately purified most of the blood sea. But the remaining ones still attacked Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow summoned the Dragon of Virtue and transformed it into his divine domain. As the sea of blood surged, Night Sorrow flew up. Although he looked like a grain of sand in the sea of blood, he did not suffer any damage. The power of virtue had a strong suppressive effect on this kind of bloody aura. Power of virtue, it's the power of virtue again. If not for this, even if you have a sovereign-grade artifact, you won't be a match for me. Go to hell. Become its sacrifice. Luan Xianhe was furious when he saw that he had used up a large amount of the City Lord's token to summon a terrifying sea of blood, but it did not cause any real damage to Night Sorrow. He no longer had any flesh on his body, and his face was just bones with a trace of flesh. It was impossible to see his expression, but he gave off an extremely evil feeling. After he roared, he threw out the City Lord's token for the 3rd time. This time, when the City Lord's token was thrown out, it immediately transformed into a towering mountain of blood that pressed down on Night Sorrow. It seems like you have completely pinned all your hopes on the City Lord's token in front of you. Let me tell you the truth. Although the City Lord's token is made of sovereign-grade materials, it is clearly not a sovereign-grade artifact. At most, it is only slightly stronger than a half-step sovereign-grade artifact. Seeing that the City Lord's token had transformed into a mountain of blood that pressed down on him, Night Sorrow did not use the Tianyun Bao. Instead, he used the profound heaven-roaming dragon steps to dodge. While dodging, Night Sorrow opened his mouth and roared. It is not a sovereign-grade artifact yet, but once it absorbs enough flesh and blood, it will completely evolve into a sovereign-grade artifact. You can't dodge it at all. Luan Xianhe roared coldly with a ferocious look on his face. Under his control, the City Lord's token transformed into a mountain of blood that completely locked onto Night Sorrow, bringing him great pressure. Look, you can't escape at all. Although the Tianyun Bao is a sovereign-grade artifact, it is clearly unable to resist the City Lord's token's token. Luan Xianhe immediately roared coldly when he saw that Night Sorrow was in a sorry state. At the same time, he controlled the City Lord's token to continue injecting blood into the mountain of blood. After Luan Xianhe had completely injected all the blood from the City Lord's token into the mountain of blood, he said coldly, "Prepare to die." What you are facing is the City Lord's token's strongest attack. Even a half-step sovereign-grade expert cannot resist it. At this moment, the mountain of blood had completely suppressed Night Sorrow. Lord Night Sorrow, I will save you. Seeing that Night Sorrow was being suppressed by the mountain of blood, Mo Yen, who was originally hiding in the void, roared and immediately came out to help. He struck out a palm at Wan Xianhe, who was controlling the City Lord's token. I have already said that you are just an ant. Otherwise, why would I have given up on you back then? Facing Mo Yan's palm, Wan Xianhe, who was controlling the City Lord's token, did not care at all. He raised his hand and sent Mo Yan flying. Humph. If I am not wrong, you do not have any other helpers. Accept your fate of death. Tianyun Bao is mine. Seeing that Night Sorrow was still being suppressed by the mountain of blood, Wan Xianhe spoke again with a hoarse voice. Looks like the City Lord's token's blood chi has been exhausted. Since that is the case, prepare to die. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who seemed to be in a sorry state, roared in a low voice. Then, he controlled Tianyun Bao and made him absorb the energy contained in the mountain of blood. Tianyun Bao could even absorb the blood-colored origin energy, let alone the energy contained in the blood-colored mountain of blood. In the process just now, Night Sorrow had been resisting the mountain of blood and did not use Tianyun Bao. He was waiting for Wan Xianhe to completely release the City Lord's token's blood chi. Now, Wan Xianhe's greatest reliance was the City Lord's token that contained a large amount of blood chi. If it was destroyed, Wan Xianhe would definitely not be able to fight back. What? What is going on? When Tianyun Bao was controlled by Night Sorrow and began to swallow the blood chi, Wan Xianhe was completely dumbfounded. At this moment, it was too late for him to withdraw the City Lord's token. In almost a moment, the entire mountain of blood was completely absorbed by Tianyun Bao. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.